The year is 3022 and the class is 4000. Right. So yeah, it is nice weather outside, just minus 14 or 12, I think. Let's go ahead, guys. So what we were talking about in terms of security, Azure security. So we're going to be going through lots of Azure security topics before we covered Azure itself. Now, Azure security is talking about Microsoft 365 services as well as Azure, which is cloud, IaaS or infrastructure as a service. Anyway, we talked about that before as well in the previous class. So what we had started last time the topic of, inside Azure Active Directory, there was this feature called PIM. And this feature, so first we created trial account. Now trial accounts are created with the credit card. And Microsoft has stopped free trial account without credit card, so they require a credit card. But what you can do is when you're creating a trial account, Microsoft 365 trial account, then just when you are creating M365 trial account with the CC, then don't forget to uncheck / disable recurring billing. Microsoft will soon know that as well, and then it might uncheck recurring billing. So, anyway, but that whenever it happens. So just make sure you don't forget to uncheck disable renewal or recurring billing. So yeah, the word could be recurring billing or renewal. Okay. Once you have rooted done then you should be okay. And actually, they charged me $50 for that. Yeah, last time I mentioned that too. So I told them, oh, I didn't want that. I was just testing. So can you reimburse? And then they were nice enough to reimburse. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead. So we were talking about PIM, and PIM is all about privileged account management. So whichever accounts are admin accounts, they are privileged account, they have more permissions. So then how do we make sure that those accounts are, which user has privilege for how long, which resources this user has authorization to, why this user has those privileges. So it's all about for who gets what privileges for how long and why gets what privileges. So it will be in one line we can say who gets what privileges for how long and why. So this one statement just explains PIM. This one statement also should be for pretty much whichever user has whatever privileges, right? So the main emphasis is on who, and then what, and how, what, how, why. Oh, seriously? Okay. What I'm saying, wow. So anyway, if you remember that, then four aspects of privilege hunting, and it's not hunting like it's giving least amount of privilege, and we Microsoft. So our policy is that's then the last punching statement: zero trust. That's where you're going. I mean, you're the global admin, suppose in the company, global admin, having all the privileges, and you do not trust you. And how is that possible? So suppose your account is hacked by a hacker, then pretty much everything is in the hands of the hacker. So did you secure your global admin privileges from not being hacked? What kind of security measures did you took to secure yourself? And in my company, ridiculously, we have 5 global admins, and it is more political than, uh, you know, those are technical guys and on high places. One, I'm a global admin, and then there are four more global admin, which is not required by Microsoft. Microsoft says only two global admins should be there. And then we're trying to move towards zero trust, and we're trying to get something there that if I need higher privileges, my account will be normal, right? I'm a global I mean, like I am the IT administrator, but if I need global admin privileges, I should request. Automatically, it should get, I will get those global admin privileges. I will give a reason why I need that. I will use the global admin privileges and then let go of it from my account or remove it from my account. So my account will not have global admin privileges. The downside to that is, uh, if that at least one guy should be having global admin all the time, or have or at least uh, you should be guaranteed access should be there. For any reason you want it and you couldn't get it, then you're stuck. Your whole company stuck outside. So any one account should be global admin. Either you keep changing its password, and you should know that what's the password mechanism. But if you have permanently been assigned global admin, make sure you get secured. Did you really prepared some security for you being hacked? Microsoft simply says don't trust anyone, zero trust, right? So that's where we are trying to go, and Microsoft has come up with many strategies here. But right now, Microsoft is talking about admin, whoever has admin privileges, then implement PIM on that. So when we go to PIM, we were talking about that how long, who gets how long, what privileges and why, right? So there is access review as well. You review the access every 6 months of there are 4 5 global admins. Okay, 6 month I have arrived, and let's see who needs to still be global admin. And after 6 months again, oh okay, oh this guy's gone. Why is he still a global admin? His account or her account. So you can remove. This is another feature called access review. I think we did that in Azure AZ-104, but it's part of security as well. So many features overlap as well. So we were talking about PIM. If a user has lots of privileges, then ask the user what kind of task the user needs to perform, and explore what are least amount of privileges you can give for the task. Then start giving a user least amount of privileges and test if the user can still do his or her tasks. Go for slightly higher privileges and keep checking where user is now comfortable to do the tasks. Well, this is how we explored in our company. Some users were given outrageously high privileges, and then I had to take them down to whatever lowest level of privileges as possible, and still the users were able to do the task. So when I talked to the user, I discovered that they were doing very low level tasks. I mean, the task that doesn't require very high privileges, they were given blindly very high privileges. So you have to talk to those users who have admin privileges. That do you even need those? What do you do every day? What do you have to do for which we will discover what kind of privileges you actually need instead of you have been given. So when you go deep down, then you get to know that, oh wow, this guy didn't need that privilege because he or she is doing just this task, and even a lower privilege can do that. But if you don't investigate ever, obviously you will never know that this guy had unnecessarily high privileges, and when that person got hacked, then the hacker did what he or she had to do or to take benefit of that, right? Then we talk about Azure AD additions as well. Azure Active Directory free is there as well for a limited time. Microsoft 365 apps is there with a lot of features. But then we went for Premium 2, which has Premium 1, Premium 2 is there, but Premium 2 has all the main security features, compliance features, and some advanced features as well. Right? So we configured our Premium 2. In fact, I'll just double check that too. Actually, we did do that. Now, then once the end user mailbox, okay. So we created an account Then we gave that account a privilege last time. But we were stuck with that we had created a new mailbox and we were trying to go inside the mailbox. And we weren't because when a new mailbox gets created, it takes like 15-20 minutes, sometimes even more, sometimes very less, to get fully created and let us in. So we were checking about so once the end user mailbox is created, then we will check that how PIM really shows from end user side, how end user has to manually activate the role because of Azure identity role. So what really happened was I was showing an example of user who has been assigned a privilege with PIM. So testing PIM is what we were doing in last class, and for that, let's create a user. So PIM is again, I'm just telling you that PIM or privileged identity management makes sure that higher privileged users are also accountable. They need to be, those users need to be checked again and again thoroughly from time to time if those users need higher privileges or not and for how long they need. So PIM is there for that. Now, what I was saying to you that, okay, whenever I need higher privilege, I will just request I should get that privilege. And then I should just use that privilege to do whatever task I needed to do. And then again, remove the privilege from my account. So that was the ideal situation. I would use the higher privileges whenever I need, not permanently being global admin. All the time, I'm right now I'm global admin. My account is global admin, and I'm on weekend. So maybe some hacker is trying to do that to try to check that what are the ways to hack a global admin account, right? So if I was not a global admin, so uh, none of the accounts are global admin, so hacker cannot do anything. Hacker hacks my account, I'm not global admin. Hacker cannot do anything. But right now, if I had implemented certain security, I was not a global admin and I would just use it whenever I need. But right now I am and permanently am. So obviously my account is always under threat. So yes, there are some measures we have taken, but hopefully hackers also know all the measures. How they get in, yeah, it's up to them. And what do we hold that the hackers need? In our company, not much. Okay. Anyway, it's like a public company, right? It's like giving services of government to public. So it's kind of that company. So we were all thinking, hey, what do hackers need from us? We're not, financial anything. Anyway, so let's create a user. That's what we did last time. Uh, we created a user, uh, give permission, higher permission or higher privilege, and then so we did all that, and I'm just taking you through that because I need to show you the last part of it. Give higher privilege, and then um, via PIM. Give higher privilege via PIM, identity management, and then uh, check how the user gets that privilege, or gets means activates that privilege, because the user has to manually activate as well. It's not like I give the privilege to a user and the user becomes that right away. So suppose I billing admin to a user. Yes, there is a way to do that too. That you just simply click active and the user will be activated. But then there is another way now goes for, and that is whenever user needs it, go ahead, activate that role, use that role, and after 8 hours, whatever hours you think, the role will be expired on the user. Oh, the user needs it again. After 8 hours, when it expired, the user is no longer a billing admin. After that, he or she needs the role again. So he or she will go to the email and then activate it again. So that's one of the ideal situations. We can expire it in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours as well. User task, maybe 1 minute task, maybe 5 minute task, maybe half an hour task. So let it expire in 1 hour, half hour. So I'm going to show you that there is that privileged access management setting. So what is the username? I think I went for the user is on a user. Let me show you all the settings now. User 01 and let's see what him privilege we give to the user. Let's see how user activates it from the email, the mailbox. Okay, so this is the whole process that you should implement in your environment. Okay, Navi says recording started. Let me just double check. Yeah, thank you for reminder. Yes, recording has started. O and K. So let's try to let me show you the whole process. Let's which is the user who has been given privilege via what is this via PIN? Can we give privilege without PIN as well? Privileged identity management. So let me just go now, switch to the directory. And also one more thing, we started this course way back in 1930s. Oh, just kidding. So yeah, way back, and the Active Directory they have changed that too. Like the look of Active Directory has been changed by Microsoft, and it looks a bit different now. So if I go to Microsoft 365 account to go to Azure Active Directory, and I click that, yeah, skip for 14 days, MFA, over talk about security, and MFA is not configured. So now Active Directory looks like this. So we can switch to classic view, but this is new way of. Otherwise, it was different. In my company, we haven't switched to the one, but it is Entra Admin now. Microsoft Entra Admin. This is a new way. Right? Anyway, so we were going to identity governance. So identity governance has that set of tools, and there is that privileged identity management, and this is only possible with Premium 2, and Premium 2 is a paid service as well. So that's why you have to go. So what we did was we went to identity management, and then we went to Azure AD roles. Now I can separately. I was okay. Let me click show more here because they have changed the user experience altogether now. This is Microsoft Entra Admin that opens when we click the Active Directory. If I go to groups, devices, application, yeah, roles and admins. You can give roles to a user without PIN, or you can give the same roles to the user instead of going directly here, right? You can go here, identity governance, to the same area, roles and admins, right? Identity governance. Through identity governance, if you give this role, then there is an option that the user has to activate it whenever the user needs it, instead of permanently being assigned that role. Go from here and give the user, suppose you go in application administrator and then add assignment. So you can assign a role to a user that way. Uh, but okay, there's a setting here as well. And this is what I wanted to show you through PIM, because PIM makes you activate. Although because we have enabled PIM, it is showing that setting here as well. So see this, if I go add as my administrator, suppose I'm giving application administrator to a user. So no member selected, I'll select a member. Suppose it's I'm a user 1 and select. There's a setting page here, right? I've selected a user. If I go next, so there is that um, time limit. And after that, it will expire. And the eligible and active that we were talking about before is that eligible is that you have to activate the role yourself, whichever user was given this role. It says here privilege identity management. So even from here, so when you enabled Premium 2, Directory Premium 2 license, after that, it does start showing you eligible and active, but it opens directly in privilege identity management. So even right now, I was saying that, oh, from here you can just give permanently. No, once Premium 2 is enabled and privilege active directory or PIM gets enabled as well, you get Premium 2 services in Active Directory, then you are giving permissions through privilege identity. So my suggestion is whenever a new employee gets hired and he or she has to be given some admin role, then make sure that when you're assigning the role, privileged identity management is written there. It means also that you have to enable it from licenses. So suppose I go to this Microsoft Admin Center and then I go to billing licenses here. You have to make sure that your organization purchased it, which is products, purchase services, enterprise mobility 5. Yeah, this one. So from Azure Active Directory, we purchased that your products. If I go here, then just make sure that it is having Active Directory Premium 2, which is when you purchase this, Enterprise Mobility Plus Security E5 trial, especially Enterprise Mobility. So you get the, Premium 2, Active Directory Premium 2. So we have Active Directory Premium 2. That's first thing. Second thing is, you must make sure that this is written when you're about to give permission to anyone. Right? Privileged identity management is written. Third thing is you must make sure never click active. Yes, you can click active technically. Second thing is if it is very, very critical for someone, hey, I need the role now because there is some troubleshooting going on and I need to fix it right now. And you are about to give the role. So active just means it will give or activate that role or automatically for that user. The user doesn't have to manually go anywhere and do that. So always go eligible. Otherwise, there's no emergency and you want to give the role, so go eligible. And maximum out eligible duration is 6 months, right? So 6 months it has given. After that, it will expire. Where did you set this up? That I'm going to give which application administrator role only for 6 months. I want to put for 1 year. Okay, I can change that. It says maximum here, right? So there's a place to fix. To put the rule. So remember that I'm giving application administrator role, right? So if I switch cancel from here, go to roles and administrators again. This is application administrator, right? I click that. There's a role setting here, which means whoever you're assigning application administrator, what do you want? How do you want to assign that role to that user? What are the rules that you want implemented when this role is being assigned to the user? So it says activate maximum duration. This is actually the thing that I was saying that after certain hours, the user will have to activate the role again for him or her to use it. This is that setting only for application administrator. So if you go back, you can see there are like 70 or 80 roles here, right? So the thing is that whichever role is critical and you get to give that a lot, you can just select that role and go customize settings on that role that if I'm assigning this role, okay, believe me, I'm double clicking it. And what do you want to do? What rules, security rules you want to follow, right? So I want that user, whenever that user gets that role activated for him or herself, after 9 hours, that role will expire. This is that setting. Activation require, you want something else required, so there's an edit button here as well, and you can go there and make that role very secure. So first of all, 9 hours, maybe you want that, maybe you know that, oh, this user needs this role, and whenever the tasks related to this role are implemented, so that user finishes that task within 3 to 6 hours. So on average, that user does not need this role more than 6 hours for any session that is going on wherever user needs this role. So, or maybe that is your assessment. Or maybe you think that oh, that user had to work with that role, missions all given by this role for 16 hours last time. So average is 16. Okay, after that, I will let it expire, and that user has to request again automatically to give given that role again for next 16 hours, right? So that's where you decide. I'll just put it to 6 or 9, 8 or 9 is normal. In my company, we have put 8 hours for my junior administrator. And well, it was supposed to be implemented on me as well. Then we decided that, hey, anyone should be permanently global admin. Otherwise, I need it and my junior admin needs it, and we both don't have it. And something wrong happens from Microsoft that I couldn't even get it. So we will be all locked out. So there has to be one role permanently somewhere. Either we give some unknown account a role. Unknown means like vague account like 327B926, and we know that this account is our global admin. And secretly, we're changing its password, or automatically the password are being changed. Whenever we need the emergency account, so we will know the current password of 3246B928, which is actually a global admin. So we can hide it this way as well. And ourselves, we don't use that, or whenever we need it, then only we activate that. So there are many strategies for just giving a very high privilege role, because this is what the hackers really attack. And if it is attacked, all the application related settings could be, disrupted or changed or whatever the hacker wants to do. Or okay, so Azure MFA. So whenever user gets that role, make sure the user has MFA. User does not have MFA, user will not get this role, right? You can go really tough on that user. And then there is conditional access authentication as well. So conditional access, there are then 20 plus conditions that the user has to meet, and then the user will get the role. So if you put that many conditions, user might even quit. That hey, you want me to meet all these conditions? Okay, I'm going for another job. Okay, so anyway, the thing is, you want to be very tough. Maybe it's a military institute, maybe it's a credit card company or financial company or something sensitive. Then you can go for conditional access as well. Meet 15 conditions, different conditions, and then you get that. And these are all security conditions. We're going to go through that. Required justification on activation. So whenever you're activating, it's in previously. Yes, you're right. So that's what the thing is, but it's coming soon, and yeah, it's conditional access policy is very, very powerful. So required justification on activation, yes, you have to justify why do you need that role every after 6 hours it will expire. When you're activating after 6 hours, again, whatever, you need to justify why are you doing that, right? So there's that. Required ticket information on activation. So suppose you opened a ticket in some ticketing tool like ServiceNow, or we have our company ticketing tool called Top Desk. By name, it looks like some cheap software. No, it's pretty complicated. I mean, it's good, among, but it's not as complicated as ServiceNow. But it's very good. Topdesk.com. Right. Anyway, I don't have shares inside, so I'm not marketing it. But you can put the information of a ticket if you are open a ticket. Hey, I need to have admin, that role be assigned to me. Require approval to activate. Yeah. So, even you can put approval. So when this guy is activating the role again just to do his or her administrator task, application administrator task, so it can go for approval as well. You can select who will approve. So every time when you are activating this after 6 hours, somebody has to also approve. So two people are engaged now, one who needs it and the other one who is approving it. Every time, if suppose you're gone, this approver is gone, and this guy really needs the role, then you can have a backup approver as well. For now, I added myself as a like the global admin as approver. Obviously, it would be someone higher, or manager or director. So yeah, if they're busy and this guy really needs it, so you have to then make sure that if you add an approver, the approver better be there. Okay. So anyway, you can put approval. So you can see that setting a role is how you can make it how secure and flexible as well. Right. So I'm going to click next assignment. So this is the edit role setting of application administrator only. What kind of restriction you want when you're giving somebody application administrator, right? So allow permanent eligible assignment. You can do that too. Then this means that it's kind of permanently given 6 months and auto renewed, or you can go for every 1 year or every 6 months or every 3 months. It will expire. Suppose I go for, 3 months is too strict, but 6 months is okay. No, according to different companies, different rules, right? Even 1 month they give, and then they every month they check that, okay, do you really need that role, right? Allow permanent active assignment. This is also active means you get the role right away. Eligible means you have to activate it yourself annually, right? So 6 months you can see in both cases. It's just 6 months you're gonna get that. After that, we will renew, or the higher global admin will renew it for you. So and require MFA on active assignment. So suppose you activate it right away. That guy does not have MFA, you don't get that role until you figure MFA, right? So it's up to you how secure you want to give it, and then notification. So who should be notified? And then you can give a global admin or director's email that, oh, you're, some guy in your company, some person in your company has been given admin role. So who should be notified here? Obviously, notification is very critical. Okay. So I'm clicking update here, but what I did was I just showed you instead of 9 hours, I put it to 6 hours. So every 6 hours, it's gonna expire. This application administrator role. So I just wanted to show you from the user side how the user needs to activate it once the user get that role. Okay. So I'm gonna click update here. Uh, I just played with the role setting. For anyone onwards, this role is given. Those are the new settings. You can go for each of the role that you give commonly to your company, and then configure all those. Suppose it's Azure AD join local administrator, you go to role settings here as well, and then configure and make it strict. So the thing is that least privilege should be given, and if it is given, then it should be thoroughly checked again and again. This guy still need to be given this role. Okay, so application administrator has been set up first as a role. Now, when I go, now I want to give it to someone, right? So I'm going to go inside and add assignment, and I think I didn't give it. So application administrator scope is directory wide. Maybe there's just one application on which you want someone to be an administrator, or service principal, which means that it maybe it's a service account that needs to be given to a application permanently, so the application can use those privileges to automatically do some tasks. So directory wide and application administrator, suppose we give, and then we go for, okay, this user is given this role. Remember that for this role we have set up some uh, role settings already. So then I go next, and I'm never gonna give active to this. I want that guy to check his or her email, then activate the role to herself, right? So this is eligible, and always go for eligible, then click assign. And yeah, it's 18 February to 17 of June, July, August. Oh, 17 August. Okay, assign. And there you go. It failed. Okay. Um, blah blah blah. Application in directory. The role assignment already exists. Okay, I gave it already that user. Maybe last class I was giving this one. Okay, now how the user will get it. The user already got it actually, and last time I was just checking that the user mailbox is opened or not. So I'm gonna go to that user and just want to show you how the user gets the email and gets to activate the role. Right now, if the user does not activate the role is not given to the user, right? So that's why if this role is given to the user, where is it written there? This is active assignments, right? This is eligible assignments. If I click eligible, there we go. So user is eligible to get it unless the user activates it. The user doesn't activate it, that's it. The user doesn't get the role. So the user has been assigned, he she has to activate it. So let's activate this role quickly. How? Um, Opera browser. Seriously? Where's the how how do I Opera browser? There's an incognito mode for Opera browser. Seriously? Okay. Anyway, I'll just go for some other browser. I have four browsers here, where I do a lot of work on different online accounts. Okay. So new private window. I'll just go for portal dot. This is portal.office.com actually. So and yeah. So Amir users, I'll tab to go back to that user just to show you the experience of that user. Okay, this is the full email. CEA Jalebi 04 Feb 2023. Yeah. Okay, so I'll tab here and next. Okay, so I think it's the same class password. Oh, not class password. So I'll just quickly reset the password for this guy by going to users, all users, and where is our user? Come on. And can I reset the user's password? Reset. Oh yeah, whatever the reset password it will give me, I have to go over that right now. Yo-yo 7416. Okay, yo-yo 7416. It's better to put that here for this user. If I need it again, then it will toss me like a yo-yo. So okay, so here, yo-yo. Okay, now it needs to need to small z, ship 1 to 3, ship 1 to 3. Oh wait. And K select which. Oh, we have seen that password too many times before. Yeah, okay. I take it as a prize because hundreds of students have used that. Okay, so BNM, capital BNM, ship 1 to 3. What is it? So BNM, ship 1 to 3, 1 to 3. All right, go. I need to just go to the mailbox and I need to activate that role. Right? So after 14 days, I will do the thingy, do the MFA. Once I go inside, I just need to go to Outlook because I need that role. Suppose I'm the programmer or application developer and I need that role right away. Well, so Microsoft Audio Conferencing. Are you kidding me? Okay, that assignment hasn't arrived, or maybe the role assignment has been expired. So this means that I need to because I gave that user 15 days that role, right? 15 days back. I'm just gonna check again if I can give or update that role. So I'm gonna go to roles and admins and application administrator. I gave it 15 days ago. Maybe that invitation has expired. I'm gonna go to eligible and then update Eligible assignment ends, yeah, it's 4/7, but save. So the email should come to the user. So we don't have to really wait for that. If it takes longer time, it will assign to this application administrator. Um, that's it. This user, oh, it's user one. Seriously, not user two. Okay. Um, so when I was given to user two, why was it saying it's given? Okay. I logged in from user two. So user one here. So this means I logged in for user one. Sorry. Okay. So this is what the user says. Sees here, view or activate. So if you don't touch it, you will not get it. Right? Start Saturday, February 18th, today date, and Tuesday, July 4th. So I'm going to activate that role. I need that role because I'm an application administrator, right? And I really need that role now, but I have to activate it. Application administrator directory, and yeah. So this is the end user who is doing that, and make sure always you see these golden words, privileged identity management, whenever you're assigning. Now the end user who is about to become an application administrator privileged, about to get that, I'm going to activate that. And it says here you're getting it for 9 hours. Can I change that as a user? Oh, yeah, maybe my task is for 5 minutes. I know that. I'm an application administrator. Or my task is just 2 hours. I can reduce it myself voluntarily as well. But nobody does that, right? So, and then I am required, there's a red dot, a red star here. So I am required to give a justification, right? So I need it to develop an application for the company. So suppose you give any kind of or maybe you're required, maybe there's a compliance policy about messages as well, that you must include the project name, manager name, and then application name, and if possible, some detail about the task. After 9 hours, it's gonna expire anyway, right? Or suppose I go for, oh, after half an hour, it expires. So I'll make it half an hour, expires after half an hour, right? Activate this. Maybe my task is half an hour. I voluntarily said that, okay, after that, I don't need that role. So automatically it should expire. Okay, so this is how a user can really, activate. And PIM makes it possible. So privilege identity management is really cool. And now I will not have this role after half an hour, but that was voluntarily. But after 9 hours, it's gonna still be gone. And I have to I have to come back here. I need to save this email somewhere, right? Uh, yes. So it is, I pinned it in my mailbox as a application administrator. I know that after 9 hours, I need this email, and then I need this button. Go back and activate it again, right? So this is how an end user will then do, and it is secure now. After 9 hours, I will not have it. If the hacker hacks my account, that's it. It's gone. I'm no longer an application administrator, so I don't have that privileges. That's a security. O and K. So this is the whole PIM that I wanted to show you. The story of PIM. This PIM is really, really important, and Microsoft puts a lot of emphasis on that. But you have to really go through all the critical roles, and you have to set up the role setting. So it is global admin, right? A global admin, we have five of them, which is ridiculous. Again and again, I'm saying that. So global administrator, this one. So I need to definitely go to role settings for that, and I need to expire it. I need to go for 8 hours activation. Right now, I'm actively given this role, so it's not going to implement this. We can change it and we can save it, and then it's going to implement all these settings, right? And so this is accountability for each privileged admin role. So this is what I'm going to show. Now let's go ahead with the next. So there is another very cool thing. Well, there are many cool security related settings. So this is done, and the process is now should be clear that how you should be giving privileged access. We still need to go for identity governance and check out some more of these policies. So I'm just going to go back to identity governance here. Then we're going to go for protect and secure as well. In identity governance, there is entitlement management. What a name. Entitlement management. So this is the area where we may have gone before as well, but for the security course also requires that we should know, and Azure 104 also requires that we should know that. So just for the sake of security course, I'm going to just go through this. Control your external user lifecycle. So external users, they are, the pain in the neck, and whenever you give external users access, then we tend to forget it, right? And then there is that issue, or there's a problem that suppose there's a vendor that we took that we invited 2 years ago. And then 2 years ago we invited that user. That external user account is still created. Did you delete that account? Maybe the vendor account got hacked and somebody logged in from that. It is still a guest account, but if it's a vendor, you have to give some higher privileges to that account. So that's why you have to make sure that external users. So how do you what are the external users? Just to give a brief idea about that, you just go to new user and then you invite external user. An external user is can use Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo Mail, wow, Outlook or Live.co or any other email, right? Don't have even our mailbox. They're just external, right? So when you create those and write those users, you need to delete them as well. You need to get rid of them as well. But even in my company, we have we I did a cleanup 6 months ago, and I found that so many vendor accounts which were invited external, like external users, or which were invited, were there for last 2 years, 3 years. Then I started asking developers, "Hey, you invited them. You asked us to invite them, and then you didn't tell us that the project is finished. So we don't track your projects. You track your projects, right? There should be some kind of compliance that when the project finishes, you're supposed to tell us that please disable the guest accounts." So whoever is doing the project it's their responsibility. But then, as an IT administrator, as a cloud administrator, it's your responsibility to keep a check on external accounts and review common use cases. So control your external user lifecycle. If I go for a review, so it goes to external user lifecycle, create access package here. This access package actually tells us that who should have access for how long. Create access reviews of all guests in teams and groups. Now, this package, if I go click, so this would be create a collection of resources that users can request access to. So there's a list of things that you can configure here, and so suppose there is a external vendor vendors from ABC company. Actually, there is an ABC company in Toronto as well, and I had an interview with them. So I keep giving interview all year, right? External vendor from ABC company, and then resource roles. So what is this? Access package means that what kind of um, applications, SharePoint sites, groups, and teams do you want external vendors, some typical user accounts to have access to for how long and why. There's a life cycle here as well, right? So suppose I go for applications, and if I click this see all applications, I hope I have no application. Okay, let me just quickly create an application. How do I create an application? I'm just going to go here, um, and Azure Active Directory. I'm going to add an application there, and then come back to the access package. I'll just right click and duplicate this tab. Get a simple application. Okay, skip for now. Okay. So I'll go for um, Microsoft, every few years they change the applications is here. Enterprise applications. I'll add some application quickly. New application. Um, so there are many Adobe applications, SAML, Atlassian Cloud, Box, whatever. Come on, stop thinking. Okay, Adobe create. Suppose I added this application. Obviously, you have to connect it remotely. I mean, you must have a license, purchase license from the other side, and then it will actually connect with the this site, adobe.com. Right now, I'm just adding the free, unfinished side of Adobe here. So I could show you that, users can. So what is access package? Uh, Certain accounts need to be given access to certain applications, and then it will expire automatically for them, and they will have no longer access. So those access packages and access reviews must be created, must be created. So I'll go for another application here, new application, some random application. Why? Two or three applications, right? So DocuSign, and create that too. Suppose we have license for that and we have connected this on Azure. So multiple applications I'll just add here, and then we go for access package, then access review as well. And okay, so two applications. If I go to all applications here, all applications, like all applications. Yeah, I have DocuSign and Adobe Acrobat now, vulnerability management, in fact. So I'll go back here. So I hope it has detected that I've added just new applications. If I go to applications here, and yes, it sees two applications. So what I'm saying is access package controls, okay, this application and this application. For these two applications, the users can request us that please let us access this application. So next is request. Then is requester information. Then is lifecycle. Then is custom extension, right? So I'm just going to click request here, and what roles they can request. DocuSign sender or MSMI IAM access. This is just either security account or the administrator access for these. I'm just going to go for normal senders here. Certain people can request access to these applications, and only this privilege, which is simple user, not privileged user. And next request for users in your directory, for users not in your directory, all users in connected organizations. Non-administrator direct assignments only. Allow administrators to directly assign specific users to this. So I'm going to go for users in Active Directory, and then I'm going to go for guests, all users, including guests, and request access to that application. And who will be approving it? By approval, press yes. So who will be approving that? When the guests or normal users, it pretty much includes everyone. There is no separate only guests showing here. So when they require approval, then require approval, yes. Require requester justification. So requester has to justify, oh, I need access to Adobe Acrobat and DocuSign because of this. Okay. And how many stages? Do you want two-stage approval, three-stage approval, until the user is so annoyed that the user will run away? No, just kidding. So, or one-stage approval, just one approver. So manager as approver, the user's manager should be approver. If manager of the user does not approve, then fall back to who is the second? What is the plan B? Who is the second approver? So I'm just gonna go for, okay, I'm the second approver. If the user's manager does not respond, he or she is on vacation, so I'm the second approver. And then decision must be made in 14 days. Require approver justification. Approver, why did approver approved? Question justification. Why do I need access to the applications? Approver, why did I approve? Right. So that's it. And in 14 days or maybe 5 days, user needs to, I just changed it to 5, approver needs to approve, right? Show advanced settings here. If no action taken, forward to alternate approvers. Oh, there are alternate approvers. Even plan B, plan C, plan E. Suppose it's a very critical resource, then you can go for alternate approvers, even more approvers. And enable new requests. So every time you are okay to for new requests of users, that more users can always request access to these applications or not. So if I go ahead, request our information, then you can put questions there that why do you want access to this application? And also, answer format is short text. Don't give a long story. Uh, do you have enough uh, uh, approvals and qualifications uh, for these applications? So you can have some legit questions there, and multiple choice long text. You can just give a story now. And then regex pattern review. Um, this is in preview, but I need to check that too. And they just added this recently. And then you can add a lot of other questions and add localization as well, which is which language. So you want the question to be asked. So then comes a new life cycle. So you can fully put that those questions. The users will answer that. Then you can approve easily, right? Uh, Life cycle is that access package assignments expire on that day. Number of days after 1 year, they will expire, or number of hours. And then users can request specific timeline. Yes, I want, and users can also go for, oh, I want access for 6 months, sir. I want access for 1.5 years, sir, because of this. So you can just go for a specific date when it expires. So this means that access to the application for the specified users will expire automatically, which is a very, very good thing. So show advanced expiration settings and then allow users to extend access. Oh, even end users can say, oh, we are still working on it. Come on, why are you expiring it? So end users can also, but it's risky as well. You should be on top of everything, right? As an administrator, require access review, and then there is this. So required access review. This is access review. This was the next topic, but this is what we can do, and that is starting on 18 February. But quarterly, monthly, weekly, you can review the access of these users to this application as well. Self-review, specific reviewers, you can go for specific reviewers as well, and maybe whoever you want to add, director or manager of that user, or those who were invited from outside, uh, connecting to your company employee user. And then there is show advanced access review settings. That is that so review will be done for those users access every quarter. So quarterly review will be there. If reviewers don't respond, show receiver decision helpers yes, or require reviewer justification. So it's up to you that no change will be there if nobody responds, or the remove access. If no one responds, then access will be removed. So it's like that, right? So this is access package, but this is very, very critical, and it is automated, right? So automatically, users will be actually kicked out as well. And while going through this, it seems like I have to create that in my company as well. uh, this package, because there are some vendors who are there forever, and they have been acquired. Their services were acquired from time to time, but this is too much, right? Like there's some external vendors are there for 3 years now. They're external from time to time. So whenever we need their services, then we should give them access, right? The access is just given to them all the time. Developers just ask that while you are responsible, the cloud architect or cloud administrator, that if the access is breached, you're responsible then. Then developers will go back. Oh, no, 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 it was your fault. So anyway, yeah, you should be strict on everything. So stage request is created, request is approved, assignment is granted. So it's up to you. Um, so this is how it looks like. Basics, resource, which applications uh, the users can request and give a reason for request to access the application, and approver should give a reason why approver approved the user's access request and let the user connect to the application. And then requester information, approver can put questions. Why do you want access to this application? And lifecycle, when access to these applications will be removed for the users automatically. And then there's access review as well, that you will every quarter, every 3 months, you will, or 6 months, you will review the access of the users, why these requesters need access to these applications. So there's a thorough compliance that you can follow, right? So, and you can just put that at what stage, what is there, and custom extensions can be put there uh, for stages at which this access package is right now. But it's still in preview, so we don't expect it to work properly. I'm just gonna go for review plus create, and this is the whole thing. Description not entered, which is not good. Go to basics. Okay. Reviewing access for internal and external users, um, both for uh, Adobe and DocuSign applications with reviews and expiry dates. Okay, so now you put the purpose of that here, and exactly. So Ravi has also put a link there. Thank you for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and requester, lifecycle, rules, review, and plus create. And now I'll just simply create that. So this is description, but this is very, very critical. And while I'm going through this again and again, now I realize that because last week we were talking about that so many guest accounts that we cleaned 6 months ago. So the new guest accounts have appeared, and many of those projects are finished, and those accounts are still there. So I'll be going actually and creating that access package for those vendors whose projects we know will end at that specific date. Right? So we'll do that. But anyway, this is access package, which is very, very good, very, very important. I'm going to go to identity governance again, external user lifecycle. So there is that access review as well, which is just simply a review of things that you can go for. Um, in fact, yeah, so for slide, I'll just click Naveed's link and just to put it in the slide as well as a good read. New access package or entitlement management. There are two ments here. So this is identity, identity governance, and then entitlement management. Oh wow. Okay, seriously. Okay, so then okay, access review. That is also. I'm just gonna take you through that too, and share access resource roles. Is it here already? For access, access review is pretty simple, and we implemented that already. And it's been 6 months, and all departments access review we were able to see, and some of the directors actually participated in the access review. They checked their group. So I click that new access review here just to take you through that for the security course and schedule an access review to ensure the right people have the right access to access packages, groups, apps, and privileges. We created access review for groups in our company, right? And it was 6 months ago, I think we created, and we put that every 6 months, this review should happen. So on 6th month, many departments were sent an email that can you review your departmental security group's membership? And there are people in your security group or email group. Can you review your email group of your department that such and such members should be there or not? So in every company, it's like that, that people leave and come, leave and come. So some of the departments always are there where user is added, but the user is actually gone from the company. The user's user name is added there in the group. So departmental heads then go through the review, right? Select review its teams plus groups or applications. Who has access to applications? Every 6 months you want to review that. Every 3 months you want to review that. Every 1 year you want to review that, and then remove the guys from there if you think that, oh, they're gone or they no longer need to work on that. So why are they still added to the application? Same for the groups. Suppose we go for the groups here, and then review scope all Microsoft 365 groups with guest users, and this is specific to with also guest users, right? Those groups. Especially you need to keep an eye on the outsiders. Select teams and groups. So suppose I go for teams and groups, and which group you want to review access for. So it goes for, there is a default group here, all company, that is already created there. Right? Suppose I go to Active Directory and create a sales department group right now. So if I go to groups and all groups and new group, and security group and Microsoft Web group, but we talked about that before as well. So I'll go for sales DEPT group, and sales DEPT members are there. I don't assign any role to that group. It is just assigned. It's not dynamic. Owner is someone, okay, me, and group member is someone, uh, okay, someone. So I'll click create here, and some group is there. Maybe it's a sales department related group. Well, it is. So I'm just going to click select groups. I need to set up an access review for the group, right? So I'll just go there, sales department, select, and then guest users only you want to review or all users. So I'll go for all users. Some legit users are also there if they're gone from the company. There is active users on tenant level only. So inactive users also can be reviewed. And then review says that specify reviewers, multi-stage review you want, or so there will be multi-stage or single-stage review. Select reviewers. It's the group owner who can review. I just added myself or some specific user, which means directors or managers, right? Suppose I go for group owner and then fall back to if group owner is not available, do you want to have another user who can review, and duration in 6 days. Specify recurrence of review. So how review recurrence semi-annually. Okay, so every 6 months it will recur, and start date for 6 days. It will, you will have the email and you will have to review that. And start date is from today, and then there's no end date. So every 6 months, the emails will come to you, and they are kind of annoying. And some directors or managers just not for that. And we say is multi-stage or single-stage review. So if I click the multi-stage, so it's pretty much asking for some recurrence times again. So whatever I put up there as a recurrence time, actually this is recurrence time. Multi-stage is sorry different. Is reviewer. If another review was added. So select reviewers, and it is the group owner first time, although we could have put the fallback or second. If the group owner is not available to review, then which other person should. And then, oh, another review, second stage. Now, users review their own access or managers of users. So first the group owner, then the managers of users, right? Whoever is the manager in Active Directory for the user, that could be reviewing as well. Okay, so it's multiple approvers when we go multi-stage, and then yes, it's the same. How, what is the recurrence of that? How often you want it? Why is it like, oh, okay, there is another one here. Reviewees going to the next stage. So approved reviewees. So which reviewees go to the next stage? Obviously, who are approved. And then we go next. Now it says auto apply results to resource. Upon completion settings, yes. So I selected one group. That group Now there are two approvers, and it will be reviewed every 6 months that who are the members of this group. In my company, I added like 8 departments, most critical group. Each department has multiple security groups, but then I asked them, okay, which ones you want reviewed? So then they said that, okay, this, and this. So I added them all there, that they will be every 6 month manager or director will see which groups are needed and which groups are not needed, right? At the end of review, send notification to. So if reviewers don't respond, no change or remove them. Well, remove them, it was a legit user, then that would be a problem. So no change is better. At end of review, send notification to users that you have been still approved. If you want to do that, it's okay. We didn't do that. No sign in within 30 days if enable reviewer decision helpers. So if no sign in within 30 days is there, so reviewer can decide that, oh, user didn't even log in for that much time. Okay, let me review as access, right? If the user is not even active. First stage group owners, second stage managers. So we selected all that. Additional content for reviewer email. So when reviewer is reviewing, we want the reviewer to think about different things as well. Make sure this user is assigned to the project for which the group was created. So suppose I give this one hint there or multiple hints there. When you are reviewing and approving the user's access to the group, make sure what, right? So you can do a lot of make sures there. Okay, so I'm just gonna click review plus create. And now you need to name the group. It's sales department members, members, membership review. Ah, okay, I repeated the thing, but you can just put some better name. Okay, so this is how access review is. Every 6 months, you just check that he or she should have access still onwards or not. This is all about access review. So we implemented that, and it has been appreciated by the higher management. That now they can also have a look or peek into who else is a member of their security group, where the directors and company CEO and CFO and CTOs are members. Who else is a member? They can kick them out. Huh. Okay, so they like it. Okay, great. So then we go for identity governance. And then we go down to manage group membership. Yes, protect resources with role assignments. We already have done that because with role assignments, when you go, provide just-in-time access. Make Azure AD or Azure Resource Role assignments eligible and time-bound. So we did that already in PIM. It's time-bound, 6 months. Also, every 9 hours it expires, very critical. And you go only eligible. You only click eligible when you're giving the roles. Never go for active, as you have to. Okay, so we kind of went through some of these already. And external user lifecycle, review and remove guests with unnecessary access. Set up reviews to remove guest users when they no longer need to collaborate. So it is again access review. We've gone through access review, we have gone through access package. So some of those will be repetitions. Access package, access package. So they're just giving different scenarios here that you want to kick out some users or you want to keep an eye on some users. You want to keep reviewing some users. So access package, access review at what scenario, in what scenario you create access package, in what scenario you create access review. And then there is privilege access create eligible and time bound. So whenever it's PIM, it's eligible and time bound that you're doing. Pretty much we did the three things. Make Azure AD, Azure again eligible and time bound, right? So they're just giving different scenarios that you can use those features again and again. Configure multi-factor authentication and approvals for role activation. Yes, we did that too in PIM. Remember that if a user needs to be an application administrator, suppose they will be given, should have MFA enabled, right? And approval should be there. We configured that already for application administrator. Role setting. Remember the word role settings. For every role, you need to do some settings there. make it more accountable. I mean, the whole process of giving a higher privilege to someone. Create access reviews, so it's again access review. So these are pretty much three simple labs or three simple things that you need to remember in identity governance. Access package, to give access to applications and then automatically remove access as well. Access review, whoever is a part of an application or a group, why and should he or she still be part of that group. And privileged access management, which is that why this user has been given higher privilege for how long, and keep reviewing it. Right? So that's all identity governance depending on access package, access review, and privileged access management. So those are three things from identity governance that you need to remember. Governance tools. In tools are uh, which is privileged access identity management, and then privileged identity management. And then second thing is access package, and third thing is access review. So these three things you need to configure in your Azure Active Directory ASAP. That's the summary. These the main tools of identity governance tool, right? Identity governance in Azure AD. Azure AD. Okay, so let's go ahead, and that's pretty much a summary of what we did. But if you have full control and you've applied those tools, then you will be, there will be a peace of mind for this. Uh, Now, there is exit review. It all revolves around those three tools. Wherever you go from here, identity governance. So we have already done that. Access reviews there as well. Lifecycle workflows. So lifecycle workflows is in preview as well. So they are still introducing more features. And workflow schedule enabled view workflow settings. So what is a workflow? Getting started, if we go create custom workflows with lifecycle workflows. So this is pretty interesting feature. Lifecycle workflows enables you to create custom workflows to automate e-onboarding and offboarding tasks to manage users' lifecycle at scale. So that's pretty amazing. Suppose I'm a contractor and I've been hired for 1 year. I know that my contract is for 6 months or 1 year. I know my contract will finish and will not be renewed. The company HR also knows that. So they can create an onboarding, offboarding, even if we don't know when maybe the contract gets renewed. Onboarding a user can be automated. Offboarding, so onboarding a user is hired, a guy is hired, a person is hired. So he or she has to be onboarded, which means that company resources has to be introduced to that user. This is our office. This is that. This person is this here. Designation, everything. Introduction to the company and properly giving the user account and everything. Offboarding when the user is leaving the company. So block his or her account and back up all his or her data and take back the office equipment from that user like laptop or anything. So that is offering. So this is pretty interesting, and yes, this is the need of the time. Onboarding and offboarding, otherwise it is basically um, manual. A built-in workflow template with predefined tasks that best fits to your scenario to create your custom workflow. First of all, whenever you hear workflow, it means some automating something. So you are doing 5 or 10 tasks manually. Why don't you automate it with the help of workflow? So that's what workflow does. If I go for what's a template, so choose a template. They have assigned some templates for workflow, onboard pre-hire employee, onboard new hire employee. So some employee was hired or already hired or before hired, then left and then hired again. And his or her records are still there. So, and onboard a new hire employee real time. So, onboard a pre-hire and configure pre-hire tasks for onboarding employees before their first day. Okay, so that's pre-hire just means that before hiring an employee. what tasks need to be performed automatically. And then onboard new hire employee. So when employee does arrive, so first day, how do you introduce the whole company and resources to the user? And leaver, so these are joiner, these are leaver. No. Real-time employee termination. So execute real-time termination tasks for employees on their last day of work. We really need that, man. Once the review is done and it's commercially available. The offboarding of an employee and then offboard an employee. So obviously this is security related because um, you know, onboarding an employee and you give unnecessary permissions right away, or you introduce too much. I mean, there are some sensitive data that later, after the employee has been trusted, you can only introduce. And you have put in the list that data as well. Okay, this is CEO and then this is the security group that the CEO always communicates with. So you don't give too much information to the new hire because it 3 months probation, maybe you don't like the employee might be fired. Uh, and when the employee is leaving, try to secure the password, try to secure what the employee had access to and change those passwords as well, right? So everything needs to be changed as well. Like this is for security, this is very important. You go for lifecycle workflow, but this is also a new feature that is upcoming. Configure tasks and conditions, learn more about that, and it's all learn more because it's still in preview. But it is related to obviously security as well. I'm gonna go for now the secure and protect, but I wanted to show um, dedicated admin partners. No, the conditional access. So that is also part of identity and governance, but since they keep changing, whole, so now they have put it in protect and secure. Now this area was not there. This is a new section that they have created. Otherwise, we go to security.microsoftonline.com for security related configurations. So if I go for the conditional access first, and then identity protection, then security center that has huge amount of tools, then identity secure score. So this is also important for Active Directory. So first I go for conditional access. And conditional access is something that we talked about before as well, but that was required by Azure AZ-104, and it is also required by um, this AZ-500. So if you go for, so I'll be uploading some AZ-500 questions on the YouTube channel, and also AZ-104 questions. I've uploaded some and will be uploading more. Anyway, what is conditional access policy? So you put some conditions. If you fulfill those conditions, then we will let you in. So if you go for policy here, even before that, there is conditional policy, then there is named location, VPN connectivity, authentication context. So if you go for a named location, so do you trust what locations for the company resources do you trust the users should be connecting from and you're okay with that? So obviously the branch, company branch, which is covered by or protected by firewall, right? Okay. So you have to identify some named locations first. At which locations you trust? Do you trust administrator's home? I mean, I'm connecting from home or you're connecting from home. So is that a trusted location? Or how the administrator or any user is connected from home. Now, in my company, they have allowed 2 weeks you can connect from anywhere in the world. Wow, amazing, right? So then few employees just went back home and connected from there. And so this is something I don't know where they're coming at from with this flexible policies. Maybe later they will say, oh, you can just connect from home, from hut, from anywhere, and we will provide you private jet and everything. Yeah, yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, so the thing is that country's location. We if we start adding that, then obviously the policy that we had our company would not apply, or we have to add here a lot of locations. Because some users went to different countries and then connected from there for 2 weeks. So they were kind of doing vacation plus work. So Country's location, I'm just going to go for. So suppose you are only allowing Canada, or your only, so Canada connectivity, or your country connectivity, right? So include unknown country, no, Canada. So suppose just from this country, the users can connect to the resources of this particular company. So then this would be a trusted location. Or well, that's country location. Then there's IP range, and IP range would be then the IP range of your company. So suppose if I put my IP and then forget, then later I won't be able to connect to this resource. So I will be locking out myself. But suppose you want to know the company, I mean, like the IP range you want to add. So how would you add that? What is my IP? And this right now for I think one day or few hours, this is my IP. They keep on changing, right? So then we'll just put that information here. But with /24, you have to put that I think mark as trusted location. So suppose this is the location of my branch, company branch. So you would then add it as trusted location. I think it's not /24. So did I have to plus it? Well, okay, this is a name, not the IP actually. So company branch, Toronto, Toronto. And then what is the IP or IP? Oh yeah, so it is /24 that you have to put it like that. Uh, so um, /24. Wrong with me? Like forward slash. Why am I putting backslash? Okay, /24 and add. So you have to give some kind of range and subnet as well, and then you can click create. So I've added this that if you're connecting from this trusted location or from this country, then you can connect. Otherwise, you won't be able to go and connect. There's configure multi-factor authentication and trusted IPs here, which is just that which trusted IPs with MFA do you want to allow users to connect? And where which trusted location without MFA? Skip multi-factor authentication is also there. Trusted IPs, suppose they're connecting from branch, so you say that, oh, if you are in the branch, we are already secure. We're already connecting from secure network, so you don't need MFA for that. So if you want that, otherwise MFA is a must have. Okay, so this is just the area where you can just say that, okay, if you're connecting from these IPs, you don't have to have MFA, or you must have MFA, or you will be texted, when you connect. So this is just that. Refresh because the IP locations did not appear. Now, if we go to the conditional access policy, then we will see that name location will be appearing there as well. Terms of use there, VPN connectivity. If you're connecting from VPN, so where's the certificate for VPN? Uh, and if that certificate is expired, conditional access policy will not let you connect as well. We did the point to site VPN lab as well, right? Then authentication context, which is a new authentication. So authentication context is used to secure application data and actions in apps like SharePoint and Microsoft Cloud App Security. The list of recommended configurations below provide an overview of all the actions that are required. After configuring them, apply authentication contexts to cloud apps, SharePoint sites, and the resources. So I go for new authentication context here, right? Configure an authentication context that will be used to protect application data and actions. Use names and descriptions that can be understood by application administrators. So just like we added here, named locations here, right? So like trusted location, trusted device, strong authorization. We have to name it, describe it, and then what's the context of that C1 published to apps will make the authentication context available for apps to use, publish once you finish configuring condition access policy for the tag. So the thing is, you can add this context. You're just labeling it here. Suppose it's office branch, and office branch, those who are connecting, those who are connecting from office branch, right? And publish two apps. So this is just C1 would be the ID for that. So you want to clarify that who's connecting from where. You can put that C1 is the ID. C1 means somebody's connecting from office branch, which is a trusted location, or the context or the picture behind the scene or behind the scenes user is actually connecting from office, which we consider as secure. So we're putting C1 for this user, which means that yes, the user is connecting from a secure office location, from office location, which is considered secure. If you can give some labels here, and then you can use it in conditional access policy as well. Authentication strengths. This is in preview. So again, what are the strengths there? What kind of authentication are you using? Phishing restraint MFA, passwordless MFA, multi-factor authentication as well. So what kind of strong authentication are you using? So this even goes in depth, but this is in preview, so obviously it won't be not all features within this will be working. Then, we were in conditional access, so we can go for overview and try to create a new policy for that. Conditional access on the Active Directory level. So in Azure, AZ-104, when we were doing conditional access, we actually did it for application conditional access, but now we're doing for the whole Azure. You want to connect to Azure Active Directory or any part of it as a developer, as an administrator, as any other admin. So you have to face this policy, or through Active Directory, you're connecting to some application. So it does still apply there. Suppose you want to restrict users from connecting outside of your country. So can you create a conditional access policy there? So this is something that after a long time, I'm again giving you an assignment. So you just have to come up with the configuration. You don't have to really do the lab. I mean, like still, okay, select this in the conditional access, and you will have it. And create a conditional access policy that restricts all company users from connecting outside of your country, uh, right? So if you're in Canada right now, so you will be not able to connect from outside of Canada. So does such conditional access policy even exist? Obviously it does. Okay. So that assignment for you, create a or come up with a. So there are so many ways you can use conditional access policy for so much, right? So I'm just going to put that in the slide as well as here. Users from connecting outside, or restrict all company users from connecting outside. So how soon can you come up with that policy? Depends on do you understand how conditional access policy is really configured. So I'll just put it in the WhatsApp group, and once you understand conditional access policy, you can go through different areas. It's so straightforward actually, but it is tricky at the same time. I mean, um, you're connecting it to some, because you are blocking access, right? So you have to be careful for whom you're blocking the access. So I'm going to go to conditional access policy. There's an overview and there's a create new policy here. And this is a policy, conditions policy for who do you want to give access if what kind of conditions are met. Okay? So it would be according to that. So suppose I go for company conditional access. Some default things you have to configure right away is that the user cannot connect to company resources if MFA is not configured, right? So now, but you have to be careful that before you put that in place, you have to go through every user, make sure the user understand how MFA really works, and also if the user loses his or her cell phone, then there's the plan B. How soon can you get the user inside, logged in? Because suppose it's the CEO, suppose it's the director who just forgot the cell phone somewhere else and cannot find it, and he or she wants to connect right away because there's a very critical meeting going on. Right? So what do you do? So if the cell phone is not there and MFA is not there, how do you let the user in? Right? Um, in fact, that's a question to you. You put a condition there that the user has to have MFA to connect to any of our cloud resources. And it's a director, and he or she pays your check. Okay, I mean, like, signs your check. So he or she forgot his or her mobile. How do you let the user in right away? Well, conditional access policy says, no way are you connecting if you're not using MFA. Director says, no, I forgot my cell phone. I need to connect now. You do. Anyone has an idea about that? A user forgot his or her mobile somewhere, but the conditional access policy says, cannot connect if MFA is not being used. Director says, no, I don't have a cell phone right now, but I need to connect. Who knows what to do? Timothy says, create a provisional conditional access. Okay. That. Oh, okay. So you're saying that in case the director, this is automated because this is a manual thing to do. Like conditional access policy will not let her in anyway. Like, right? Like you have to either change the conditional access policy, or that's I'm about to say the solution. Or do what? Temporarily, you have to do something. So conditional access policy implements on users and groups. So if the whole group was added here, yeah, there you go. It says remove the user from the conditional. Yes. So remove the user temporarily from the conditional access policy. We normally call it cap. And one user was in India, one user was in Hawaii, one user was in Saudi Arabia doing religious um, Umrah or Hajj. So the users, we faced all those where we had added the users to cap conditional access policy, and then we had to remove the user right away temporarily. So this policy does not implement the user when the user logged in. Like then we kept on asking, hey, did you get your phone? Did you get your phone? After the meeting, the user went and then searched his or her phone and then found it and then let us know, yes, now I have the phone. I can use MFA. Then we added the user again, the hit to hit, right? So that's one thing, to add or remove the user right away. But you have to facilitate, right? So first thing is conditional access policies here. I'm going to click users and groups. So do you implement it on all users? There is a problem with that, and Microsoft also says it clearly. All users is a no-go area. It's technically yes, okay. Don't lock yourself out because these conditional access policies are they are very critical. Once you implement that and you could be out as well and you're the only global admin there, then you have to talk to Microsoft support, and when you explain it to the higher management, they will be like, what? Okay, so anyway, this policy will affect all of your users. We recommend applying a policy to a small set of users first to verify it behaves as expected because you're about to block access. Right? So better go for select users and groups and guest or external users. I would love to put this policy on guest or external users. Some of the guests are vendors from Microsoft, vendors from very high big companies which we are paying a pretty high amount to help us develop some of our applications. So guest or external users, and there is local guest users, service provider users. If you have created those categories there, B2B collaboration guest users, business to business collaboration members, business to business direct connect users. So it could be any type of guest users, or just go for users and groups, and specific groups can be added there. And I have created a sales department group, so I'll just add that here. And I have user two there, added, right? So if I go for cloud apps or actions, um, control access based on all or specific cloud apps. So suppose I want that if the user does not have MFA, I do not want that user to connect to my cloud apps. If it's all cloud apps, again, it is don't lock yourself out. Now I know that a specific group has been added there, right? Before you continue, ensure that you or someone else will be able to get back into the portal. Yes, this is definitely good. Disregard this warning if you are configuring persistent browser session policy that works correctly only if all cloud apps are selected. The thing is that I don't want my users to connect if conditional access or MFA is not configured, right? So I gave you an assignment for that. Tell me the conditional access policy settings if a user is outside of the country, and user should be blocked if he or she is outside of the country and trying to connect. So this is your assignment, but here what we can see is that can we distract the end user from using our cloud apps, which is just not able to log into any of these SharePoint or anything or Azure. And if the user does not have configured MFA, right? So, okay, guys. So all cloud apps are there, and then there is this there is cloud apps, there's user actions, there's authentication context. So they keep on adding more things there. User actions, if I go registry security information, select the action if this policy will apply to register security information, register or join devices. So if the user is doing any of those actions, user is not allowed. The user does not have MFA, right? So you can do that too. Authentication context is again the user is allowed. I cannot click this office branch because I consider it as secure. This authentication in this context, the user is already connecting from branch. So this is something I would want to allow. I will only use it where there's an allow condition. Right now, I want to block something, right? So I will not use authentication context. For apps, I don't want users to use our SharePoint or Azure or anything if they are not having any. There's an exclude button here as well. Suppose you selected all, but then you can click in exclude. Okay, except for my CEO, CTO, CFOO, financial operations, financial and operations manager, right? CFOO, organizer. Okay, anyway, so you can exclude someone as well, right, from all this. But right now, all my apps are blocked for that person who did not do MFA. Oh man, seriously. But this applies to this one, right? Specific users. Because I did not configure MFA as well. I don't want to be logged out. Okay, anyway. So then conditions come. And now you have a lot of conditions, and this is users' reputation that you can see. If users are not very well reputed, which means user risk is user sign-in risk, device platforms that a user is using to connect to. One of our developers, he is very reckless in our company, and he actually, we had a security warning that this user is connecting from an IP that is a very, that is not Canadian IP. So we were after that guy. Hey, we have a warning here. Which IP did you connect? He said, "Oh, I just connected from my cell phone. Maybe there is a VPN he was using and he connected by mistake to the other, through VPN to our company. But obviously he was not saying true." Um, okay. Okay. So here, user risk not configured, not configured. Okay. So if I go to user risk here, not configured, if I just configure it, I have to manually label that user as a low risk, medium risk, or high risk. If this user has been using like VPN or the Tor browser for dark web or anything, but the user had been known be connecting from IPs or sources that were, kind of questionable. So then obviously you would put high risk. I have one or two employees that I want to put that high risk, and after seeing this setting on Monday, I will do that. But right now, suppose you want, now we know which user is there, right? It's just user two in sales department. So what is his or her reputation? Is he or she a low risk user or a medium risk user or high risk user? Right? So suppose I don't configure that, or I say it's a low risk user. This means that user has a good reputation. He or she always connects from secure sites and secure networks only, right? So I'm going to click done here. The user is low risk. Sign in risk. Control user access to respond to specific sign in risk levels. When sign-in risk level is generated based on all real-time risk detections. The user is signed in, uh, the user is signed in, and um there was a virus attack in the user profile. Suppose that happened. User is signed in, there was a vulnerability detected. Okay, this is normal. Then again, vulnerability was cleaned and it was detected again. Then again, and then again. So then you see that, hey, this user is doing something. This user is downloading some files from somewhere that cause vulnerability checks. That there are some infected files there. So then you would say that, or user signed in from different locations. So user is in Canada, but then you saw that same user signed in from, Germany. While the user is in Canada, you call that user, hey, how are you? You're traveling? And the user says, no, I'm in Canada. And then, but you see in Azure, oh, he's signed in from Germany as well. So that kind of sign-in risks where it's impossible for the user to be in two separate places. It's not possible to log in the same time from two far off places, far away places, right? So if that has been, maybe that user's account was hacked temporarily, and whoever logged in from Germany just logged off right away. But user realized and user changed the password as well. Now it's a sign-in risk for the user on the part of the user, right? Then you can just label that user according to the security reports that you have been receiving from the user that, oh, that user is actually, I found once that the user was, this account was logged in from somewhere else. So this is user's responsibility to secure his or her username password. Or don't use certain applications that cause, a breach. So you have to be very careful that um, laptops, on company given laptops, don't install non-company software, right? So that would be very, very important. Otherwise, you will be stuck. Uh, I'm saying that, and I'm actually, my company laptop has certain software that are different, but I try to check that they are secure, right? So, but yes, I should not be doing that. Seriously. Okay, so device platforms, not if I go there, then there is. apply policy to selected device platforms. If I say that you can connect from Android, iOS, Windows, but if anyone tries to connect from Linux and Mac OS, because I know that in my company nobody uses Linux unless it's a programmer and developer, and I would go and ask them, hey, are you using any kind of Linux to log in to our network resources? And one or two programmers says yes. I would not include those programmers here, right? And I would implement it on all other users who are supposed to not use Mac OS and Linux. They use that plug into our services, right? Android, iOS, Windows, suppose I allow that. Some companies just go for, hey, we only allow iOS or we only allow Android or we only allow Windows and nothing else, right? Or we only allow Linux, nothing else, or Mac OS, nothing else. Anyway, so we are allowing for this particular user to connect from only these three types of resources: Android, iOS, Windows, and then you will and if MFA is configured, you will be able to connect. So done. And then I'll go for location. So now I can add trusted locations. I go to trusted locations, the selected locations, right? Now I get what? Canada connectivity. Seriously? Okay, by the way. Okay, so yeah, okay, there you go. I just revealed the assignment. So, but there are other ways to do that too. Okay, so this is Office branch. Suppose it is actually my public IP of my DSL, which will be changing soon, and Canada wide. So anyone within Canada, anyone in this group within Canada can connect, and company branch Toronto, um, anyone in the branch can connect. Other than that, no one can connect. Okay? Selected location. So control user access based on their physical location. Yes. Um, if you are connecting from here, then you're okay. If you're not connecting from here, if this user is connecting from these locations, it's okay. If this user is connecting from other than these, then block. Client access and then control user access to target specific client applications not using modern authentication. So this is important. Some applications are using legacy authentication where passwords are not encrypted and if they're encrypted, they're not really using the latest security protocols. So in that case, you won't allow those applications to be connected to the platform. Now, this is something that we should also make sure that our all users are not using older Outlook. So latest Outlook is being used. Um, latest Word, Excel, PowerPoint that are connecting, because you have to sign in from Word, Excel, PowerPoint for Office 365 as well, right? So if I go to yes here, so select the client apps this policy will apply to. So if you are using not older version of Google Chrome, older version of Edge, Microsoft Edge browser, older version of these other browsers, then yeah, you're supposed to connect. So it will now check the browser versions, mobile apps and desktop clients. So if you've installed Outlook there as well, and any other app that has that is Microsoft, and through that you're connecting, or any other app that through that you're connecting to your resources. So does that app uses legacy authentication, the older ways of getting authenticated, which were considered not secure. Now they are not considered secure. So better have updated versions of your apps, latest versions of Outlook and other client applications through which you connect to the Office 365. Exchange Active Sync clients and so legacy authentication clients are this. If Active Sync clients in your company that you're using older versions of Outlook were supporting that, and other clients. So, which are using POP, IMAP, SMTP. This includes older Office clients and other mail protocols, email protocols, that is, right? So, this policy applies to all those. So, older browser, older mobile apps, or desktop clients that connect to our company, and especially this. So if these are being used, we will it will check now legacy authentication or modern authentication apps. I click done here. Filters for devices. Now that's where you can put your own filters as well. And that is so include filtered. Then you can go for if the device name is this, if the device is compliant. Suppose I go for is compliant and equals obviously true. So if the device is compliant, oh, compliant to what? This is the policy that is implemented in our company right now. And this is working very well because we have implemented Microsoft Intune security policies. If I go back here, this endpoint manager here. So this is, I've done that course recently and finished it. Endpoint manager, if I click that, so this endpoint manager implements all the security policies on devices. We deployed apps as well, and then we deployed endpoint security. So all kind of security policies. So when we go to endpoint security in devices, then if we go to compliance policies here, so if you go for create a policy, just giving you an idea that the Windows 10 and later, and then create, suppose, and then test, next. So there are many compliance policies here, right? So you have to enable or disable all the security policies, and this is the less that you're seeing. That's a lot of password-related policies, firewall, device security, antivirus, anti-spyware, defender. So we implemented in our company as well, and this has really helped us to secure our endpoint devices. Without Intune, I don't think you can really secure. I mean, there are security measurements, obviously, but without Intune or endpoint security, then we go to endpoint security. There are baselines here, security baselines. I had to go through all the security baseline for Windows 10, and later, if suppose I go inside and then create a profile, and then I just wanted to show you that how much security related OS and application security related policies are there. It's full of it. I mean, so we had to go in our company through all those security policies, and then we implemented on our devices. So obviously your Microsoft Endpoint Manager or Intune should be configured properly. And then you have implemented antivirus policy, disk encryption, firewall, endpoint detection, attack surface. So this is a total separate course that is there that I think all who knows uh, Microsoft Azure, they should know how to implement Microsoft Intune because you can deploy applications there as well, and you can make compliant the devices as well, right? So if I go back to the conditional access policy is compliant, if you implement that, then before that you must have Microsoft Intune. So Microsoft compliance policies and Microsoft Intune, it also uses conditional access, by the way, and also configuration profiles. Configuration profiles has the most policies there, and it's really overwhelming. Then you can apply the scripts and then group policies there as well, and you can patch everything here. So this is a lot of stuff that you can do here, right? So the thing is that if you have configuration profiles and compliance policies implemented through Endpoint Manager, then you can go for is compliant property here. And, so what happens is that we have put in our devices that if it is compliant, if it is not compliant, suppose, so we give it a grace period of 30 days. After within 30 days, if all the security policies are implemented, the user will keep on connecting to Azure and Office, right? But if after 30 days also the status is non-compliant, then you have to then the device will not connect, the user will not be able to connect to any of the resources online. This is pretty cool, but you have to make sure that the devices are compliant all the time, otherwise user will lose access. So obviously, it's user part as well, but it's more towards you. You have to make sure that endpoint devices are regularly patched and their vulnerabilities are removed, and the endpoint manager compliance policies and conversion profiles are all implemented properly on the device. If not, then you have to investigate right away. So we implemented that like last year, and then from time to time, some users, some devices got, they don't communicate with Intune, and then they become non-compliant. And then we have to go through that again, and then make them compliant so the user could still keep on logging in. Compliance has so many security policies here, makes the device very secure. How do we know that our compliance policy is secure? It actually is secure from international standards. Our company has to go through external security auditors every year, right? So last year they gave us red flags then that hey, your devices, your company is not secure. This year, well, last year, then we worked on Intune policies, and I went through compliance policies with my junior administrator, and then we went through control profiles, and we implemented all possible and endpoint security policies here as well, security baselines. We went through all this, and then we implemented it. Now, this year, when the external auditor, security auditor, IT security auditor implemented their tools, so our policies were considered good. And go through, they check us and they compare us with CIS benchmark. So I did mention that before as well, and I did mention that you should create an account, free account there. So big companies, banks, they are compared. Their security configurations are compared with CIS compliance benchmarks. And our CIS compliant benchmark for Microsoft Azure, there are level one Azure security setting benchmark, level 2, level 3. Level 2 and level 3 are very, very strict. And our company is not a bank or some military institute or some credit card company or financials. It's not very sensitive. It's not having very sensitive info. So we were checked against level 1 Azure security benchmark. So when we were good now, and that was also a lot of security we had to implement. But level 2, level 3 is, it really implements very, very strict, and the daily life of an end user becomes kind of annoying. But yeah, so the thing is that once we implemented that, then yes, our external security auditors said that now your endpoint devices are at least good, which was my main concern. But I told them, okay, check our Cisco Meraki as well, set up configurations, check our SQL servers as well. That was for developers, and they also got sign. And I was also given. So this was done. It was possible when we went through extreme security, lots of security implementation through Microsoft Intune to all the devices. Okay, so this feature you can only then use when you have really secured your devices and there's a compliance check going on by Endpoint Manager or Intune. Then only you can use that. But this is just a tip for you that this way you can really secure your devices. I'm going to know here, but here you can then go for a lot of other options that if the operating system is this, then let them in. If the operating system is lesser than this or other than this, don't let them in. If the model of their device is that, then let them in. If it's different model, then don't let them in, right? So you get the idea. Manufacturer is, suppose, Lenovo. If anyone is selecting from non-Lenovo devices, suppose, then don't let them in. And then there are extension attributes as well. You can just add yourself. Suppose somebody's from sales department, they can connect to this. From marketing department, they cannot. Or if the manager is John, I hate that manager post. So yeah, and the user cannot get in. So that was ridiculous. But anyway, you can go with huge flexibility here in conditional access policy. Conditional access policy overall is very, very powerful when it comes to implementation. So I'm going to click no here for filter for devices, but this is what we were using for connectivity of users to our company resources. If they can only connect, the devices are fully secure according to our standard of fully secure, and that was confirmed that our standard is okay internationally as well, because outside auditor company that is from Quebec and it's very expensive. So they tested our devices with the hacker tools and everything in our network, and then they gave us a thumbs up. Okay, so that was a big relief for us, and our 1 year of effort was, you know, told us that yeah, you guys are going good. Okay, so I'll just remove her, but this is the area that is really powerful filter for devices. If we go to grant, so that's where you decide you want to block access uh, for something that there if the above conditions are not met, or grant access. So block access, require multi-factor authentication. If you click that, obviously require this and then grant access, right? So this is where you then set up multi-factor authentication and require all selected, no, require one of the selected controls. Suppose you select multiple controls here that require device to be marked as compliant. If you still do that, it already told you that if your device is not compliant, then you won't be able to log in, and told you the way as well. Where you go, filter devices is the way. So if you go for multiple, you can, require one of the selected controls. Otherwise, you don't have to set that. So whatever is selected needs to be implemented. If I click that, yes, then uh, it will only grant access if require multi-factor authentication, and also above conditions are all met. We'll check that if it is not legacy. We'll check that the user is not sign-in risk. User is connecting from only Windows, Android, and iOS. So all conditions that we put there, that the user will be able to go through that. Okay, and then session related stuff, but I have to select this first, and then the session related stuff. Use app enforced restrictions. So constructs policy app control. So this is just app control is another set of permissions on application, and when you put those, if those conditions are met, then only will let you in. Sign-in frequency as well. That periodic re-authentication. How long that you remain idle, that it will kick you out after so much time. Or suppose you are connecting again and again, so it will stop you. Hey, what are you doing? Can you just log in once? Why are you logging in again and again? So you can just go for sign-in frequency as well. Persistent browser session just means that if you want to stay connected to the browser and you're doing something, if you disconnect temporarily, it will save your session. And if you connect right away or after a few minutes even, your session will still be saved. It will just save your, freeze your session or save your session. When you connect again, you'll continue from where you were doing, whatever you were doing. Customized continuous access evaluation. Right now, a list of supported clients and resource providers. So, continuous access evaluation. So they will evaluate you that, hey, you have access to these resources. So they will keep on evaluating, are you meeting these conditions? Are you meeting these conditions? And then report. There will be events also created there they can use. But the thing is, evaluate your access will be evaluated continuously. If you enable that, I won't be. Disable resilience defaults. So during an outage, Azure AD will extend access to existing sessions while enforcing conditional access policies. If a policy cannot be evaluated, access is determined by resilience settings. Resilience defaults are disabled. Access is denied once existing sessions expire. So suppose the Azure had an outage. And Azure will still give you some extended access to resources. Oh, you're still working while we have an outage. We will keep your session alive. We will not disconnect you right away. If you are fulfilling all conditions of the conditional access policy. Even our outage for some time, we will let you connect because you can just quickly save your work, take screenshots or whatever you were doing, and then we will disconnect you right away. So that's resilience defaults. I need to check that where we go and set up resilience defaults because this is another new feature that was just added recently. So anyway, I'm not selecting anything from session right now, but what it is, we get to know. And report only for now. So we went through the condition access policy, and there's so many features there that are available. So I'm just gonna click create with report only for now. It looks like you're about to manage your organization security configurations. That's great. You must first disable security defaults before enabling a condition access policy. So after the break, we're gonna discuss disable security defaults. So what are security defaults and how you can implement? And either you implement condition access policy you implement security defaults. You cannot implement both together. So how are they different from each other? I'm gonna still select that, but I'm gonna turn it off for now because then we need to compare conditional access policy with security defaults. All these conditions should be met, then this user will log in. Any of the conditions we enabled is not met, this user will not log in. This is pretty powerful access policy, right? I click create here and but turning off for now, but we can always turn it on because we have already configured it. I'm gonna click create, creating policy, creating company conditional policy and success. So guys, let's take our break and then come back and compare the security defaults and conditional access. Then we're gonna go for a secure score and other security features of Azure Active Directory as and well. Let's take our break and come back. I will pause now. The recording has resumed, and we were talking about the conditional access policy, and then its default and default security policies, right? So if I go back here, so conditional access. Okay, so uh, conditional access policy and default security policy. When we go there, in fact, we can put here as well. If I just put the same thing that I put here versus, if I go versus, then I'll show you where it is. And then uh, security defaults in Azure AD Active Directory, and security defaults in Clean Access. Okay, there it is. So multi-factor authentication is a security defaults. Yeah, it talks about both here. So what are multi-factor and what are security defaults? So multi-factor authentication is a very important first step in securing your organization. 365 Business Premium includes option to secure to use security defaults, or so it's both cannot be used together. Security defaults or conditions policy to turn on MFA for your admins and user accounts. For most organizations, security defaults offer a good level of secure sign-in security. Right. So if you don't want to go for optimization and a lot of other options you don't want, I mean, like flexibility, then security defaults offer a good level of sign-in security. If your organization must meet more, that's the thing, more stringent requirements, you can use conditional access policy instead. That's the thing that is we can say the difference between security defaults and conditional access policy. And you should know that difference in a security context. So, in fact, this slide goes there as well. So, if we go for the security default, yeah, security defaults, what do they offer? Security defaults were designed to help protect your company's user accounts from the start. When turned on, security defaults provide secure default settings that help keep your company safe by. So, how does security defaults by default secure your users? So, first is requiring all users and admins register for MFA using the Microsoft Authenticator app or any third-party application using OAuth DOTP. So there is OAuth DOTP written here. I hope it's the same page that right click, open a new link. So software OAuth tokens are typically applications such as the Microsoft Authenticator app and other authenticator apps, right? So Azure AD generates the secret key or seed that's input into the app used to generate a one-time password or OTP. One-time password, OTP, right? The Authenticator app automatically generates codes set up to do push notifications so a user has a backup even if their device doesn't have connectivity. So third-party applications, this is the one, the third-party applications that use OAuth, OTP to generate codes can also be used. So what is TOTP? So T is third party one-time password. Third party one-time password. So some oath or oath TOTP, third time one-time password, third party one-time password application hardware tokens are programmable, meaning they don't come up with secret key or C program. So the main thing we see that you want to use Microsoft Authenticator app to for MFA, or you want to go for third party authenticator. So there is Google Authenticator as well, right? Google Authenticator you can use if you don't want to use Microsoft Authenticator, or for in my AWS course we are using Google Authenticator to log into that. And I'm not so used to it, but then students remind me, sir, you are not using Microsoft Authenticator, you are using Google Authenticator. Anyway, so OAuth software tokens. Okay, so here now we're gonna go ahead and try to check what is default, where is the default security. So if we go to Azure Active Directory, so we know where is conditional access policy, right? If we are in Microsoft Entra Admin Center, so this is a new way to show Azure Active Directory. Inside there, you see protect and secure. Inside the protect and secure, you see conditional access. So, and now where is, okay, in the users, it used to be, because they have changed pretty much, a lot of stuff. Some stuff I'm expecting not to be changed. So, the default security used to be, uh, where it used to be. I'm just trying to go there, user settings and default security in the classic mode, and they don't even have the link for the classic mode, so I could just show you right away. I guess they have. If I show more classic mode, authenticator methods, and identity protection. If I go to identity protection, default security was where multi-factor authentication, security defaults, that means password reset. No, oh, man, when they change the locations, that's where yesterday I was, last week I was just trying to renew the security certificate. And last year we did that in Dynamics 365 CRM. Which place I did that, they totally changed that, and then I had search again for at least and half an hour, and then I got to see that. So defaults, security defaults was uh, in okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just go here because they're talking about security defaults right now. So they should security default is this, conditional access is this, right? They just go for that. So this link would be very good for you to know differentiate between this, but between these two, security defaults and conditional access. I just need to see that in Microsoft Entra Admin Center. Where did they hide the security defaults now? Property. It's in, yeah, it was in properties, and this is seriously they're showing us the legacy, not the new one. It is in properties. Okay. If I go back now, it's Entra Administrator here, and I just need to search for properties of Active Directory and hybrid management, monitoring and health, uh, permissions management would be a different verified ID is overview credentials, organization settings. So Entra Admin, they just changed everything. This means that we have to go for checking again everything where everything is. So properties, application, and users. Seriously, I mean, this is so frustrating thanks to Microsoft devices. Where could be the Active Directory properties now? Seriously. Role admins. Okay, so you know what? When I say you know what, this means that oh, preview hub, preview names, mobility. Where could the properties be for Active Directory? Custom attributes, password authentication methods. I need to go through all these as well. What are authentication methods and how we implement some of it in our companies. Okay, I will not spend too much time here. Uh, Security defaults. I cannot find the properties for Active Directory right now. They may have changed the security defaults even from there. I'll just check here quickly. Security defaults. No. And yeah, they just gave a link to the documentation. Business security setup Microsoft 365. This diable, Azure security defaults. Are you kidding me? Azure security defaults Q&A. Because it has changed somewhere. Now, what exactly happens when it turn off security? I just want to show, but I don't think concept fundamental overturning legacy education, block legacy education. Okay, anyway, guys, they have changed in Microsoft Entra Admin the location, and it's painful now. They still show the legacy platform, and they don't show the. So anyway, this properties and security defaults is here, and we normally go for manage security defaults here, and then enable security defaults. So you have to disable it if you want to use um, the conditional access policy, but you can enable it if no conditional access policy is enabled. So it's any one, but not both. But security defaults normally just let you implement MFA everywhere on every account. Right? That's what you need to understand. I'm going to go back here and so this is just June, but okay. So now we talked about security falls. We talked about identity governance for the security. We're going to go for external identities as well. So cross tenant access settings, because I'm just working on a lab to connect Azure with Google, and there are some very small issues coming. So I'll just remove that and put those steps there. Wanted to show that lab in Tuesdays, but I was not able to. So external collaboration settings, we're going to cover that definitely. This is part of the AZ-500 as well. But I'm going to go to the more obvious one right now for security, which is this protect and secure, right? I'll just close everything else so we are clearly seeing in Azure Active Directory what are we covering. Um, close, and close. So when we enter Microsoft Entra Admin, so these are the sections. We're going to go for this section, protect and secure. So first we talked about condition access policy. We configured many portions of this, many areas of this. We can also put it on star, so it will be in the favorites. Then we go for identity protection, excuse me, which is again something that we have discussed, like user risk policy and sign-in risk policy. So user risk remediation policy. This is to remediate or remove the risk, user risk, remove the user risk itself. So there is block access if you label a user as a risky user, but you can always configure it in conditional access policy. So if you go for sign-in risk policy, it's the same. What you label to the users, then you can block access for that user. That okay, I saw some of the alerts there that this user logged in from multiple accounts, or there's a virus attack there, or vulnerabilities keep coming back or malwares keep coming back. So this user is very careless, and he or she is downloading pretty much a lot of stuff here. So you can block that user yourself. Multi-factor authentication registration policy. Well, every user is able to do multi-factor authentication. There, we go for registration. There is also enforced policy. Multi-factor authentication registration policy only affects cloud-based Azure multi-factor authentication. If you have multi-factor authentication server, okay, server was on premises, but it is not really effective anymore. So when we go to identity protection, it is all about what your experience or reputation about a user is. You as a architect, what kind of reports you already have collected about the user? Is that user risky user? You just then tell that user that hey, you're supposed to be very careful. Antivirus should be good. Your firewall should be on, and you should not be downloading whatever you want, right? And then even remove the software download, software download privilege from that user, and software installation privilege from that user. Make environment stricter for those users so you could get out from the risky users area, right? This is where you can always talk about, or you can label them manually. It's all about what reports are coming about the users. So risk detections, was there any risk detected? So this is normally automatically the reports come for users and they are collected here. For any user where for whom the risk was detected, that okay, the conditions that I told you already. So right now there's nothing here, and the users at risk detected alerts. So yeah, if there were any alerts that will be showing their alert on user risk level at or above high. So yes, if there will be an alert if you can, and it will be sent to you here. So normally I do get alerts in my company global admin account about some risky users, and as I was saying before as well, one user, we got an alert that he also logged in from Germany and he was in Canada. So obviously, Azure detected that and we investigated that user and then we changed that user's password. At least this much we can do. Then we can also investigate what's going on with it. So identity protection, it's all about you labeling the users according to what security reports you got from users. If we go down to security center, so that is, you know, It has a lot of stuff here. For example, first thing is the conditional access policy, which we already discussed, and we created one conditional access policy as well. Then there is identity protection here as well, which is pretty much the same thing that we just visited before as well. Security center is what we clicked here, and it took us to the security here. If I click the security center, so what it says is you may be viewing limited information to get tenant-wide visibility. Click here. Visit Microsoft Defender for Cloud, manage security across your virtual networks, data, apps, and more. So yeah, Microsoft Defender for Cloud would be a combination. It will have tools for pretty much every section of the cloud. So we will be definitely going in detail with that. This page basically gives you recommendations for identity and access, that which users are connecting at what time with what kind of privileges. If there are any vulnerabilities there, that identifies that. And then most prevalent alerts. It just gives you recommendations and alerts. If you have enabled Defender for Cloud, which we will go through its features as well. It's very important. Microsoft Defender is having very advanced tools of security as well. Now, if we after clicking Security Center, it says that if I go up to manage security across your virtual networks, data and apps. Okay, I scrolled up and it was saying if you want to see tenant wide, but it just went away, or I'll just click that again. Security Center. Yeah. You may be viewing limited information to get tenant-wide visibility. Click here. If I click here, so it just takes us to the tenant level. So the whole tenant is the area where we are working right now, in which we are working. So it says that tenant level permission. Azure AD role assignments do not grant access to Azure resources. You may not have necessary Azure role to access all subscriptions and management groups in your Azure directory. This action will assign you the desired role at the root management group of Cloud Engineers Academy tenant. So it's just saying that you are logged in from as global admin, right? Do you have tenant-wide security clearance? And this is under Microsoft Defender for Cloud. To see the action that will be performed and or learn more about perform this action early. The user is this, and desired role is security reader and security admin. Now, I'm a global administrator, so I should be able to see pretty much every nick and corner of the cloud. So if that was a different user, we would have gone for security admin at least. So is global administrator also a security admin or not? Well, it's supposed to be. So we don't need to really um, select for global admin own user account with a global admin privileges to be given to give more security. Although I'll just check that again, security and security center, right? So if I go to roles and administrator, and then all the roles will appear here. If I go to global, yellow, and go for global administrator, so description, um, so it has all these permissions to do whatever they want. Scope, role memberships, create or delete. Okay. And assignments, no assignments, role settings. So what I was looking for was that the details of what global admin really is. But the global administrator is supposed to be also a security admin. But if I just control F to just search on the page security, um, so there are 13 areas where security is written. And security, so global admin should be security administrator basically, but just because global administrator is not a compliance administrator, right? So compliance center it shows here, but I had to add myself as a compliant administrator just to do some extra tasks, although I was a global admin. Anyway, so it does not, Microsoft permissions are not very advanced as AWS permissions, Amazon Web Services permissions. So that's why it's not really showing. We have to read the articles, but I'm sure that global administrator is a security administrator as well. So the thing is that when we go to the security center, so it's saying that, oh, you want to visit the tenant-wide visibility, you want to have a tenant-wide visibility. So we have, as a global admin, tenant-wide visibility. I'm going to go down to, okay, there is this as well, visit Microsoft Defender for Cloud, right? What is this? And I right click here and open a new tab. So it's okay. I want to go for this. So this is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. It still shows inside Entra Admin Center. And obviously, you need to have a separate subscription for this. Um, so it says here as well that it says here Defender Cloud Security Posture Management. So Cloud Security Posture Management (CSPM). Cloud Security Posture Management (CSPM) provides enhanced posture capabilities and new intelligent cloud security. So Microsoft keeps on collecting more and more advanced features and tools and keep adding them under the umbrella of Microsoft Defender, right? So you have to have a separate subscription of Microsoft Defender to enable all those security tools and features, right? So I'm going to go back to this protect and secure. Obviously, we're going to explore that, and I'm going to go for a trial version as well. But here, um, so if I go to identity protection, then there was security that I went for, which is protect and secure conditional access. Um, and then this we went for, and then authentication methods in protect and secure. Okay, so I'm going for basically I want to go for secure score right now. But if I click show more, maybe it is security center. So we were on security center. And in the security center, then you go for this identity secure score. So yes, we will be getting trial membership, or I'll be getting trial membership for that. And we're going to explore all the tools, security tools offered by Microsoft Defender. It's part of the MS, it's AZ-500 exam. So I'm just going to go for identity secure score. Secure score is also very important as it would be, um, you know, scoring you against your um, security configurations that you did, and are they in, are they really connecting with and in compliance with Microsoft standard security practices? So it says use least privileged administrative roles, and score impact is 1.64%. User impact. If you implement that, how will it implement or affect the end users? So it says it's low. Implementation cost. Will it cost you more? No. So it Microsoft recommends that why don't you just implement use least privilege, and then it gives you a detail of how do you want to implement that. So status is to address. If you go for risk accepted, this means you're telling Microsoft that, hey, Microsoft, I know that I need to do that. And okay, but I didn't do that because maybe I have more knowledge, but it's not necessary for my company, for our company. So even if you're recommending it, if I click risk accepted, this means that yes, I understand that this is important, but it's no, it is not our priority to implement that. Then you can go for risk accepted, and it will say that okay, so I'm going to remove it from your score, or you keep it on the score and keep it in your mind that I need to implement that, and Microsoft will detect it and it will check that if it is according to or in compliance with Microsoft's security standards, and then it will remove this percentage or give you the full marks for that or score for that. So they're just saying, but the good thing is that when you click it, it gives you a detail of what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to go, and what are the articles that will help you do that. So it's pretty, you know, intense kind of help, we can say. Ensure that your administrators can accomplish their work with least amount of privilege assigned to their account. This for administrators, global admins, application admins. Assigning users roles like password administrator to or exchange online administrator or instead of global administrator reduces likelihood of a global administrative privileged account being breached. So they're saying that, hey, if your users are doing just a task that another lower privileged admin role can also help them do, don't give them global administrator account. I was giving that example for application administrator. The user can do their task with much lower privilege than application administrator. Why are you giving them application administrator role? Go with the least amount of privileges, but you have to work hard on that. You have to talk to the users. You have to explain to the user that you can't have this kind of privilege. You're not even doing the tasks that require that privilege, right? So, what am I about to change? And then it gives you the details of, oh, if you do that, then impact is this. That's overall the security score. Protect all users with a user risk policy. So you can create a user risk policy, and they give you the articles about that too. And basically, we do manually assign that risk that this user is a risky user or this user has a risky sign in. It doesn't take more than one global admin. So I have one global admin here, but I told you in my company there are five global admins, which is not good. But it's more politics. So designate more than one global admin. So at least you should have global admins, right? So if there's only one global admin, that account is breached. That's it. Fine. Enable password hash sync if hybrid. So if you're connecting with your local branch as well, with Azure AD Connect, then I have password hash synchronization enabled. So we did that in the start uh, of the course. Enable policy to block legacy authentication. This is important, and I have yet to do that in my company as well. That enable policy to block legacy, and I will get 13% of the score impact. So this is something that I need to implement, and they give you all. So older applications will be blocked from connecting your cloud uh, uh, no, to your cloud apps, right? Outlook is connecting to your Exchange Online. Older Outlook, maybe Outlook 2013, Outlook 2010, that will be then not able to connect, right? So this is a score I want to reduce in my environment as well, or gain marks on implementing it. Ensure all users can complete multi-factor authentication. So are all your users having multi-factor authentication or not? So just go. This is high. User impact is high, obviously, and for above policy, user impact is a bit low. Now, multi-factor authentication for administrators. This is obviously very important, and these are the global administrators: global admin, authentication admin, billing, conditional access admin, billing admin, exchange admin, help desk admin, security admin, SharePoint admin, user admin. They must all have MFA. Enable self-service password reset. So self-service, obviously the users should be able to reset their own password, right? I mean, in my company it is here, so I should be getting marks for this. Don't expire passwords. Oh, Microsoft says do not expire. So research has found that when periodic password resets are enforced, passwords become less secure. Right? Users tend to pick a weaker password and vary it slightly for each reset. If a user creates a strong password, long, complex, and without any pragmatic words present, it should remain just as strong in the future as it is today. Microsoft's official security position to not expire passwords periodically without a specific reason. Wow. And recommends that cloud-only tenants are set the password. Cloud-only tenants set the policy never expire. Excuse me. So, this is something scratching my head literally right now. So, in the banks currently, we have a strict password change policy. In governments, we have strict password change policy. So, for which planet Microsoft is recommending this? We will be having colonization on Mars, but that's far away, right? And whatever Martians they are telling, hey, you can do that or don't do. Okay, anyway, so yeah, the comment says wow, and we says seems like they are supporting hackers. If hackers hack some products, some security tools will be sold, right? Anyway, do not expire. Oh, that's why our company passwords don't expire, but we have a strong password policy there, so everyone has strong passwords. But they don't expire because Microsoft does not support that. Anyway, this is something banks might not really or old school. Well, now we will all be old school if this is what Microsoft says. Protect all users with a sign-in risk policy. So to implement this recommendation, you need Azure Active Directory Premium 2 license. Check what Azure Active Directory license you have, user prerequisite, and see your license type. If you've invested in Azure Active Directory Premium 2 license, you can create a conditions policy from scratch or by using a template. Yeah. So we just talked about conditional access policy for the risky users and risky sign-in users. So whenever they say create a policy, it's a conditional access policy where you label some users as risky, and then they will be looked after more and monitored more, and they might not be allowed for certain applications if you put it that way. Do not allow users to grant consent to unreliable apps. So users are downloading a lot of apps, and this is not good. So there's a go to consent and permissions area. And uh, end users are supposed to ask administrators to add apps, not themselves adding apps. Okay, Chris says in the chat. Oh, okay. So there are more chats. Timothy says from recent studies of human behavior. Yeah, exactly. Microsoft says. And then Chris says they are correct. Human are creatures of habits, exactly, and it's true as it relates to the password reset. Yep. So yes, it is literally true that if I am forced to change password every month, I would really be, annoyed with that. I would try to go for some phrase. I would keep changing it every month to, last letters of that. So if the hacker catches up with what phrase you are working on, then it might not be a very difficult decision or difficult to really figure out your next password. So definitely, but third password really strong. That is then we should also concentrate on. Okay, if I go for user consent here, is that by default open? Is it already allowed for the users to download apps by themselves or they are asking administrators? So I'm going to go to consent and permissions. User consent settings. Control when end users and group owners are allowed to grant consent to applications. 666, I mean, okay. Anyway, so allow user consent for apps. Not allow user consent. An administrator will be required. So guys, by default, congratulations, Microsoft is by default really insecure. Like Microsoft says, yes, allow users to download. All users can consent for any app to access the organizations. So this is the default setting. So when you are a new Microsoft, you just newly arrived in the organization, check for some configurations. They are on default level, and those default levels are not secure most of the time. So it says that yes, allow users to install any apps. Bad, bad Microsoft, bad. Anyway, do not allow user consent. I'm just putting that. I'm changing it to uh, so users cannot deploy app. They have to ask the administrator. Otherwise, what are they paying us for? Or what kind of authority we have if users can deploy all the app? And some of the companies' apps are old. Some companies don't maintain that, and they have thousands of vulnerabilities. We don't know that. Suppose there's a third-party signature app. Oh, it's a cool signature app. It has very cool fonts and designs. And one of the user downloads it, and that company never bothered to do some serious security investment on their app, and it has lots of vulnerabilities. And then the hacker says, "Oh, thank you, user. You have opened a backdoor for us by downloading the app that has hundreds of vulnerabilities." So now hackers just exploit those vulnerabilities and enter your organization. So end users should not be doing that. They just click, 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 and they don't care about security context and background of it uh, or impact. So group owner consent for apps accessing. Allow group owner consent for all group owners. All group owners can allow applications access data for the groups they own. No, group owners cannot allow applications to access data the groups they own. So anyway, if normally we, in order to give access, we give security. In order to give access to application, we add security group, right? So the group owners of that security group can allow users to access apps. Well, that is also kind of okay. Maybe you create a group owner, that guy who is, you know, suppose a very small company, then yeah, administrator should do that. Otherwise, you can delegate to some group owner who has more know-how of which user to connect, allow, and which user you not to allow. Right? So I'm going to click save here, and I'm not giving end users the consent to deploy any app. And I'm going to double check my organization as well. That is that enabled or not. Although we removed, in our organization, any user could create teams in the past. So we disabled it. So now they when they need to create, and we had so many teams created there in the Microsoft Teams, a long list of teams, and with every teams, a security group gets created, a SharePoint site gets created. So we saw the security groups. There's a very long list of security groups, and there's a very long list of SharePoint sites. So then we stopped this and we disabled the creation of teams for end users. Now they have to ask me or the junior administrator to create a team, and we are cleaning up now the whole mess that they created. One when it's a pretty long process. So some teams have been never used, some security groups have never been used. So if we go, so this is some of the settings that they are marking you for. We have an initial setup here. Suppose you have a lot of applications here, then they keep on evaluating the whole organization, then they get, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. So this secure score actually have then 30, 40, sometimes 100 recommendations, and then they score you for that. Right? So a typical 100 company, yeah. So they detected all that, and then they say that. So you have to go through these recommendations and check out if you are. So sometimes we just overlook. So we should keep on visiting Secure Score. And some of the recommendations, our company owners or directors may say that no, we need that. Thank you very much. And then you can just ignore that, or you can just go for risk accepted, and it will not show in the score. So it will represent according to your company compliance policies for security. So identity secure score very very important, and you keep on visiting this from time to time to check that what else Microsoft discovered in your office environment, and then gave you a secure score recommendation, improvement action for that. So it keeps on discovering, and sometimes new ones pop up as well. Suppose 1 year ago we had Synapse application, right? analytics application deployed there. So then there were some security recommendations for that. So we told the administrators or developers that, hey, this is the security recommendation, so why don't you just use it? Now here, security center, we talked about this name location authentication methods. So if you go to authentication methods, um, in Active Directory, so we have here policies, and we have password protection, and then we have registration campaign and authentication strengths. So how many ways of authentication that you have uh, created? So policies, use this policy to configure the authentication methods your users may register and use. If a user is in scope for a method, they may use it to authenticate and for password reset. Some methods aren't supported for some scenarios. If your tenant doesn't yet use combined security for registration, turn it on now. It's required to use this policy. So what is combined security info registration? Right? So I'm going to click that. It says here, before combined registration, users registered authentication methods for Azure AD multi-factor authentication (FA) and self-service password reset (SSPR) separately. People were confused that similar methods were used for multi-factor authentication and SSPR. They had to register for both features. Now, with combined registration, users can register once and get the benefits of both MFA and SSPR. They can reset their password. They can configure multi-factor authentication in one go instead of separately configuring them. So enable combined security registration. It's there, and that is my account. Okay. So the thing is that you want to register for SSPR. You want to reset your own password, and for MFA in one go. That's what it's talking about. So, big deal. Okay. So what kind of security are you using? Are you using this Microsoft Authenticator? In my company, we are using, or I'm using SMS, but some users are using Microsoft Authenticator. SMS is the easiest one. I don't have to go inside and then open the authenticator and then check the number and then put it. So SMS just comes and it pops up on my screen, and that's it. I log in. So that's for lazy admin like me, this is the most recommended one. Third-party software oath token. So whichever you're using here, you can check what's the policy for that. So it's in preview SMS. If I go to Microsoft Authenticator, so is it enable and target? So Microsoft Authenticator app is a flagship authentication method usable in passwordless or simple push notification approval modes. App is free to download, and yes, so you want to enable that for your organization or not? It's right now not enabled. You can use this authenticator app. I don't remember enabling that, or maybe the administrators previously from the previous administrators enabled that for and check that before my company. So voice call, yeah. So there are different types of authentication methods, and you can create a policy for that. I don't know uh, uh, what kind of policy we can create. So I'm just going to click combined security here. I'm going to go inside enable combined security registration. Enable combined security. Keep your account. Oh, okay. So this is it. Enable combined security. You have to go to Azure Active Directory, user settings, manage user feature settings. You can use the combined security information registration experience. Choose to enable for a selected group. Okay, from here, yes. Normally we have all selected here, but if it's not all selected, so you can click all. But it just enables the users to use both SSPR to set their own password and MFA. They configure both. Password protection, custom smart lockout. The lockout threshold is 10. You forgot your password. It will get out for 10 let you put 10 times and then it will lock you out. Lockout duration will be 60 seconds and then you can try again. Custom banned passwords, enforce list of passwords. So some passwords you can ban here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cannot be used, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 cannot be used, and then 1, 2, 3 cannot be used, and 1, 2 Can be used in one. Okay, just kidding. Is too short. Okay, say okay. Don't be ridiculous. What are you doing? Yeah. But if this is used, so you cannot use that, and then you can keep on working for 1 year to go for all the possible easy passwords, right? Okay, so here, password protection for Windows Server Active Directory. So we don't have a hybrid environment or local Active Directory, but you can have password protection enabled here because you will be connected. In some environments, there is hybrid environment, so it our Azure Active Directory is connected with the local branch Active Directory as well. Do you want to enforce this? So it's audit. Audit means it's only monitoring, not enforcing this. This means it's not really, you can put more than that as well. Uh, when I click enforce now, it's enforced, right? So they will, after 10 attempts, it will ban you for 60 seconds. Wow, just 60 seconds? BlackBerry had that, or maybe iPhone also has that. BlackBerry had that if we forgot the password and we put it 10 times, it will format the whole phone. Wow, that was very strict. So anyway, I'm gonna click save for this. Then registration campaign. Right. Start a registration campaign that prompts users to set up more. Okay, so you want to. That's a very good thing. You want to keep reminding users, hey, put a secure authentication method, and do you have MFA, and do you have a strong password, etc., etc. Right? So you can bug the user all the time. And then authentication strengths. So this is preview. Authentication strengths determine the combination of authentication methods that can be used. So what are you allowing and what are you not allowing, right? So if you go for new authentication strength, so what combination of methods of authentication you want to implement in your organization? So password plus SMS. So you put a password as well as SMS. Yeah, that's what we put. That's what I put, but it's not like enforced on anyone. Um, Single factor. So that's pretty interesting that you can actually enforce certain amount of certain type of methods. So if I go for password plus SMS, that would be good. But if I implement that now, then I will have for this account I'm still skipping one security codes and I'm skipping MF. Seriously. Okay. So yeah, this is what we can implement, and then all users have to follow this. That right? Right. Pretty simple. Click, 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 and save. Right. And then there's a review. So you can make it very strong by going for 3 types or even 4 types. Wow, that would be brutal. Keep on logging in for last 15 minutes. Right. So, and then monitoring area just gives the activity of authentication methods being used. But right now, nothing is there. So it's just monitoring of user registration, and reset events, bulk operation results. O and K. If we go back here, there are multi-factor authentication. So other than authentication methods, MFA. What can you configure further in MFA? So account lockout policy, do you want to create that account lockout policy? Number of MFA denials trigger account lockout. So somebody is doing MFA, suppose actually someone stole somebody's cell phone and is trying to access the information and has the password already. So you can say that after 5 attempts, you won't be able to use MFA even. Uh, okay, minutes until account lockout counter is reset. After 5 minutes, you can do that. Minutes until account is automatically unblocked. What? Minutes until account lockout counter is reset. Yeah. So minutes until account is automatically unblocked. After 5 minutes, it will be unblocked, and lockout counter will stay for 5 minutes. It will count that how many lockouts happened. Right. So save. I hope I'm not making it my life difficult now for this course. Block unblock users, and a blocked user will not receive multi-factor authentication request. Authentication attempts for that user will be automatically denied. Obviously, if the user is blocked, then it should be the authentication request should not be going to that user, right? The user is blocked. Okay. A user will remain blocked for 90 days from the time they are blocked. To manually unblock a user, click the unblock action. Okay. Yeah, we can unblock whenever we want from Active Directory. Fraud alert. Allow your users to report fraud if they receive a two-step verification request that they didn't initiate. Well, that's a good idea, obviously. Users should know somebody's trying to use two-step authentication on their behalf. Code to report fraud during initial greeting. So code is 007. So 007 means somebody's trying to connect to your. We should have that music as well in the background. Okay, so save or alert notifications, and yes, somebody should be notified when multi-factor authentication is done. Recipient's email address. So recipient, although when you configure MFA, obviously it goes to the recipient, right? So no need to really configure on the tenant level. Auth tokens, unless you want, maybe it's a military institute or very sensitive organization. So then you can create one separate account where all MFA attempts are recorded, what time an MFA was performed to log in. So yeah, for that you can create a separate mailbox where all those logins will keep on, will be saved. Auth tokens. To get started, select the upload button above and choose a .csv file. The file should contain the secret keys for the OAuth tokens you wish to use. The columns in the file should be UPN, serial number, secret key, time interval, manufacturer, model. So this is just saying that from which exact device you want to get authenticated to log into this the cloud applications of the company. Like you are allowing certain model of a certain manufacturer, so Lenovo and some model here, and their time interval from this time to this time, this device will request with this serial number and this user principal name, like Amir at cloudengineersacademy.com, full UPN, right? So this user with this serial number, with this secret key, and between this time to this time, from Lenovo and the models list will be asking authentication to log in to the application. If you want to go this much into, maybe it's like some uh, billion gazillion dollars that the user wants to access, so then you can go for this kind of um, authentication setup, that you are predefining anything now. This authentication that only from this device this user can log in. Wow, amazing. Are you kidding me? So, but this is also available. You want to be very, very specific. Multification. Multi-factor authentication, caller ID numbers, US phone numbers only. Customize the verification phone calls that your users receive. So which US number the voice call should come from, and obviously you would buy that number, then 188 or something, and then the call will come from there. Okay, your number is 689 4, blah blah blah. So then the user will just simply type that number and that's it. Voice call, which number you want to come, the user to use the multi-factor authentication. Providers. So don't see your provider list here. Providers are associated with specific subscription, each of which is associated with a tenant. Switch to the tenant associated with your provider subscription to view that provider. Adding new providers is disabled as of September 1, 2018. See the licensing documentation. So this whole area is um, not working anymore, obviously. And this is multi-factor authentication server. So this is if you have on-premises in the branch multi-factor authentication server. It used to be there, but it is now deprecated. They don't support any more MFA server deployed in your branch. It's all from cloud now. So that's multi-factor authentication. Then certificate authorities. So there is no certificate authorities found, but you can purchase a root cert certificate and then upload it there. And it's um, Trill endpoint where the certificate is confirmed if it's yours or not. Thumbprint of the certificate. Suppose I go for this. We are logged into Entra. Connection is secure and certificate is valid. If I click that, so this is the cert. Microsoft is using Microsoft Azure TLS issuing CA. Not part of certificate Entra. So which certificate Microsoft is? Oh yeah, it's DigiCert certificate Microsoft is using, which is an Australian company. It's pretty expensive as well, and version, serial number. So Microsoft is using DigiCert certificate right now. So if you want to add another certificate here, um, maybe you are adding a domain, and for that you need to add a certificate because we don't need a certificate when we are connecting to Microsoft because Microsoft is pretty much maintaining its own security certificate, and it's going to expire in December 30, 2023. So we can rely on that, and you can see issued to common name Microsoft.com, organization, Microsoft Corporation, special unit, not part of a certificate, common name, organization unit, issued by, so it's SHA-256 fingerprint and SHA-1 fingerprint. So there are different levels of uh, its encryption depth, and that's what they're showing. They are talking about when we talk about certificates more. Next topics upcoming, we're gonna uh, check it out. But this is a certificate. I don't think we need a certificate for accessing this whole console, but in case you need a certificate for any enterprise applications that you attach here, then you can upload a certificate. You have to purchase a certificate from maybe 80 to 100 or $120 up to $2,000. You can purchase a certificate from digicert.com, verisign.com, ssls.com, GoDaddy.com, right? So certificate authorities, if you want to add here from which you purchase certificates. And it's just a reporting of risky users, risky workload identities, risky sign-ins, and risk detections. We talked about that before as well. So this is the security center that we were talking about in Azure Active Directory. We will go for in the next class, identity secure score, multi-factor authentication we already did, authentication we did, password reset we did, custom attributes, we'll just talk about it. Risky activities we kind of did, but we'll go. So yeah, for Azure Active Directory, we have tried to cover its security related tools, but there are other Microsoft Azure IaaS like VNet and storage that have also a lot of security features. So once we cover this Azure Active Directory, then we're going to go for the other ones. Now there are some newer things that they have added here, permissions management like that. So if I click permission management, it goes to login.microsoft.com organizations OAuth 2, and made a lot of changes, and but it then goes or ends up to c2.app.ciem.cloudnox.io, which is totally non-Microsoft. So this means that they may have acquired it, but they are still in the process of integrating it with Microsoft line of applications, data sources, data collectors, Azure. So what is this? Uh, you know, uh, this permissions management, and how does it work? So we're going to talk about that, and then also what is verified identity. If we go there, overview. So is your identity verification done? Set up your organization to get started with your using verified ID. We're going to talk about that as well. That what is this credentials organization. So few more Azure Active Directory security features are left. We're going to go through that whatever we can, and then we're going to switch to other areas of Azure. and their security tools. ONK guys, so have a nice long weekend and see you next Saturday. Okay, so I will sign out. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye. And closing the meeting. Okay.